Going on, everyone? This is Duane here, and we just went ahead and skipped the intro. I want to hear if everyone can hear us. Gavin and I are switched to a new night, and we're all discombobulated. So, hello, everyone. Overlanding for fun. Tim, what is up? It is Yeehaw. We just skipped right through the intro, right through everything, and kind of looked like deer in the headlights. And we just went ahead and went live. So, what is going on? I'm going to head over to the comments here. Let me see what we can do here. All right, tonight we are going to wrap up talking about Super Celebration East 22. And let me know if you can hear us. Everyone can hear us. That would be pretty awesome if you could hear us. We have, I don't know about the viewers over here, Gavin. What do you think we got going on? Do you think that we actually went live? We did go live. Anyway, so we're getting off to a slow start here. It is Wednesday night, and it's our first 8:30 Wednesday night live stream. How do you feel about that?
Good.
So it's a little bit later
and
than...
and it's a lot less combobulated, or however you say that.
Close enough.
Than Sunday nights, because Sunday nights we are always doing something, and then we're getting home at like 7:59.
Well, yeah, and since here, let me move the mic over so you can hear it a little bit better. So, since we've started doing stuff with our Broncos, and mainly the weekends when we get to do it, if we head out Friday and then Saturday, or if you just go somewhere on Sunday, getting back was a little. We were rushed, and we don't like doing the show when we're rushed because just don't feel like we can do a good job at it. So we want to make sure that we bring the best content humanly possible to the stream and talk about cool stuff. Maria, thank you. Dirk, Connor, thank you very much. So yeah, it's a little bit different doing it. So Super Celebration East, we're going to start right there, and we're going to wrap that up because we talked about it a little bit last week, but Gavin and I were saying we don't think we talked about it enough.
Yeah.
And this afternoon, what did you do this afternoon before we get started on that? What did we pick?
Strawberries, yes.
So nice fruity drink here, thanks to the local strawberry patch right down the street. So Gavin and I went down there and did it in record time. We had a storm coming in, and so we had to do that in a hurry. But we want to get back here and get started because we want to finish talking about Super Celebration East and what a cool event it was. And to the people that organized it and put it on, you did an outstanding job, at least in my humble opinion. And I think that last year, being my first year there, it was different because Ford has a presence there, and they had the pre-production Broncos giving you a ride, and that was cool. But this year, you actually got to see privately owned Broncos there and modified, and anything from Brockbuster was there with a heavily modified to small things to stock. I mean, other than a couple logos, both of my Broncos are stock. I mean, folding table, but that's not, I don't call that a major upgrade or anything. It's not like we've done suspension and engine stuff and wheels and tires and stuff like that. So it's going to be really cool next year to get into that. And I'm looking forward to doing some modifications. And for those who've noticed, we have two Broncos. If you're just tuning in tonight, we do have two. We have a 21 Badlands soft top, and we have a 22 Badlands MIC or hard top. The 22, the Eruption Green one, has actually seen sand and snow and off-roading, whereas the 21 has never even been rained on. So Sunday, weather permitting, we take both of them down to the Outer Banks, and we're going to do some wheeling on Mother's Day. That's what my wife wants to do, and it's her day, and that's what we're going to do. So it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. And after we went strawberry picking, I went to soccer practice, and after soccer practice, we went to Walmart, and because I wanted to get this game called Wreckfest.
Yeah. So another reason we skipped the intro is we went to Walmart, and I was like, Gavin, it's probably not the best night for that. Anyway, but we did it. Mobile Motto, what's going on? Bill O'Reilly said, do it live, I guess. I mean, hey, there's no better way to do it. So anyway, we definitely want to get the viewers up here. It's Wednesday night. It's something different, and I hope it works better for you. Gavin's going to go roughly 30 minutes with us, and then we'll talk about whatever. So I actually have a piece of paper right here that I didn't want to screen share it. We want to talk about it, but this is technical specifications on the Bronco Raptor. What did you think about the Bronco Raptor Super Celebration?
It was definitely not what I expected. The fender flares is what everybody's talking about. They were a lot bigger than what I saw in the picture, and the tires are very big. So and it has steps and enhanced rock rails, so that's really good.
Yeah. So the big side steps bolt to the rock rails. So your Ford toolkit will actually remove those steps or that one long step on each side for better ground clearance. And if you're going to actually do any rock crawling with it, that's what you would want to do. But I think pretty much everything else, steps could probably stay on. What do you say? Mm-hmm. The eruption green. What do you think about the eruption green? Was it? Do you think it made the fender flares look? Well, you don't like them. I'm okay with the fender flares. That's just me, though. I want the Bronco Raptor to look different than another Bronco. Mm-hmm. So what do you think? Do you think the eruption green help with that? Because you don't have the contrasting between code orange and the MIC or molded in color.
Code orange is, in my opinion, the best color for the Raptor.
Right, and it's Ford performance color too, so you can only get it in the Raptor.
Yeah.
Well, can you get it with Shelby, right? Can you get on in a mobile model? Maybe you know that question. Can you get code orange in the Shelby, or what Ford vehicles can you get it? I know the F-150 Raptor, now the Bronco Raptor, but what did I say? It's code orange. What did I say?
Code orange.
Oh, code orange, yeah. John Hines, hello. What is going on? And All Terrain Nation, hello. What's the available vehicles out there? So either way, the code orange is awesome. It really looks good. The eruption green, we just did a Bronco Raptor review where it was just me doing a solo deal, and you can really see that green pop in that video. Of course, we have one, and I can tell you when it's clean and the sun hits it just right, man, the flake in it gives it that it's like a bronze color. Yeah, at first I was like, well, it's maybe a little gold, but it's a sort of a bronze hue to it. So the eruption green's a sharp color. Dave was telling me that the black's probably going to be the most popular because then your fender flares and the body paint is closer together, which I do see that as being an option. But I thought that the Bronco Raptor with the Ford script on the grill, how they had it positioned up on those had it up on those temporary, or that they were backflow preventer covers, basically landscaping plastic, looked like rocks, which is a good idea for a car show that we have coming up. So, but it really looked good. It had that present. Yes, sir. What you got?
So, according to Google, code orange only comes in the Raptor and the F-150 Raptor. The Bronco Raptor and the F-150 Raptor.
Gotcha. See, I figured it would be a GT500 color too.
Hold on.
Because Ford performance, right? But if they're holding it to the two, that's probably pretty. I mean, that's awesome. I guess.
Is it a Mustang GT? Yeah.
I'm going to try to say that word 3 times, and I said it once. 200 to go for awesome. Yeah, Shelby GT500 colors. See if you can pull that up. But anyway, I think it's pretty cool that when you see the Bronco Raptor there, it made a statement, right? And if you don't like the fender flares, there's probably going to be an aftermarket company that's going to come up with something that would lessen it, because I don't mind it. And I was actually at my dealership today. I did a little tease post over on Instagram.
Yes, you can actually.
GT500 is now available. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's a Ford performance color, and the GT500.
All right. So this tells you all the cars. It's the Raptor, the F-150 Raptor, Bronco Raptor, and the 2022 Shelby GT500 are in Ford performance color.
Perfect. So I was right. Yeah. Eruptions, or mobile motto said eruptions are generally not green. Yeah. I don't know. It's a cool color though, but the name, yeah, I got it. But what do you think? Super Celebration, if you went, honestly, what did you think? Did you really, really like it? What could they do better? And are you looking forward to next year? I was pleasantly surprised that your lovely mother Becky is looking forward to going back next year, and she wants to go back with something else. Now, we said early on that we would not be getting a Bronco Raptor because we had 2 Broncos already, and we would save it. So there was an allocation that came up, and it looks like at this time that because there was no takes on it, that we will be the takes for it as of right now. We're like 85% sure that we'll go through with it, right? Unless the economy just falls off the rails completely and I pull back. But so I didn't, early on I was just like, hey, somebody will scoop it up, but they didn't, and there was actually a few more. And anyway, so that's where we're at with that. So that the tease today being at the dealership, I just went to do some. I had to pick up some stuff that we got aftermarket that came in. I picked it up, and then we talked about it, and still no build date for it. So we'll go from there.
What is up, 502 Bourbon Crew?
502 Bourbon Crew, what is going on? Thanks for checking in. Of course, everybody says hi to you. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
Like,
don't say it.
Yeah, like whatever. I just start the live streams. I'll let you do the talking, or you can read this if you want to.
Okay, so
What does that say at the top?
2022 Ford Bronco Raptor technical specifications. So body.
Well, no, let's not read all of it. There's one thing I want you to read, and we're going to talk about it. And I didn't have a chance to upload this. Mm-hmm. No, right here. Well, what does that say?
Direct injection.
Okay. Super Celebration East, getting back to that, they had a Ford Bronco Raptor there. It was very cool. One day they had to top the doors off and everything else and the hood open. I was able to look at the engine. One thing I thought was very interesting, it is pre-production. So what you're seeing is not necessarily what you're going to be buying. I mean, overall it is. The 3.0 that is in that Bronco Raptor, in the Ford specifications, unless something's changed and we haven't heard about it, is direct injection. So the first thing that I look for, because it's Ford Performance, I look for a oil catch can, thinking that if it's direct injection only, that an engine like that would likely have an oil catch can. I couldn't see one there. Again, that they may add one later or may not have one at all. I have no idea, but I did not see one there. What was the other observation that we made on that 3.0?
It wasn't that one a cast aluminum, or no, the
aluminum.
Yeah, an aluminum one.
Yeah,
and
aluminum.
Not, but it's supposed to be like.
So what does this say right here? Look for the what does it say? Block.
Piston. Right, block.
Nope, right here. Here we go.
Graphite iron block, aluminum head.
What's that first word? Compacted.
Yep, compacted graphite iron block, aluminum head. So
Ford says in the specs for it that it's a CGI block like the 2.7. When we were there, that was some pretty shiny CGI. So is it just because it's pre-production, they're using that all aluminum ST Explorer ST engine?
Or Focus ST.
Mm-hmm. What do I have on?
Yeah, Focus or Edge.
I have an Edge. It wouldn't be in that, but
Edge ST.
Yeah. But it was just interesting observation. So, and it's 10.5 to 1 compression, direct injection. This engine's going to be pretty hot. I don't say look for oil pump on there while I'm talking and see if it says anything about oil pump at all. And it is, what does that say right there? DO. It's what they call a DOC, double overhead cam. Anyway, so I thought it's pretty interesting that the Bronco that we were able to look at in video was slightly different, but it is pre-production, and that's not all that uncommon. So just so you know, it's an observation. No oil pump listed there. So either it's like the 2.7 or it's going to be more like the 2 or the 3.5. So I'm really looking forward to actually seeing someone take delivery of a Raptor, the final produced vehicle. And when you look at some of the reviews out there, there's some really good reviews on the Bronco. People that have had the luxury of, being loaned the vehicle for a day, or not really loaned. They were invited to review it. They've been able to hit some pretty good points. I know Doug did one.
Doug DeMero,
yeah, he did a really good review on it, and you like how he says Raptor.
Yeah.
He says the Raptor.
This is the 2022 Ford Bronco Raptor.
Yeah, we like Doug, man. He's a cool guy. But he did a really good review on it, and there's several more. I think Motor Trend did one, and I forget who else did one, but it was really good. And they showed the chassis. And one thing I tried looking at Supercell was underneath the chassis, and there's a few things like the Bronco Raptor has a tow goat mode. It also has a Baja mode. Now Baja is not new. You can get it in certain trims. I think the Wild Track, right? Mm-hmm. But in the Baja mode in the Bronco Raptor helps with turbo lag. I did find that out. So it does something with the exhaust tuning there. But it has a tow mode that tows 1,000 pounds more than the base Bronco.
And Bronco 78, good evening.
Bronco 78, what's going on? Yeah, I got your message over there on the was on Instagram. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Glad you made it. Let's see. 502 Bourbon Crew. On the I hear you. Yeah. So 502 Bourbon Crew said, if you don't like the Raptor flares, just wait until 2023. I guarantee you Ford has taken note. So there's a couple things in there from one of the reviewers had firsthand knowledge apparently of this. And it was a manufacturing issue that they apparently couldn't have that full width vehicle go through the painting. And I don't know if that means just painting or if that means the assembly line itself. Are the flares put on, at the mod shop, or are they part of the final assembly? Do you know that? I don't know that. Gavin, do you know that?
No.
So I have no idea. And if that it would make sense because the Bronco, it is a lot wider. I mean, it's almost 10 inches wider. So, depending on the robotics and all of that, I mean, I could see that being a possibility. However, I don't really care. I like it. If everything goes through, we'll take delivery and we'll love it. And what else did you like about? Oh, I was getting back to the frame. Let me get back to that, and we'll move on. So the shock towers are taller, and I think it's a forged. It's cast upper control arm and a forged lower control arm, and there's bump stops on the control arm and the frame in various places to really help cushion some of that. When you land it after you've sent it. But when you land, you have somewhere to for this thing to bottom out on. And the suspension, 13 inches of travel in the front, 14 in the rear. I mean, that's some pretty good travel right there, over a foot. I mean, if you just think about that, Gavin. And, the possibility. Yes, go ahead.
Mobile Model said bodies are painted before they are matched with the chassis.
Yep. So I'm quite aware of the blend dates, but there was someone that did a review with the Ford rep standing next to him that said that part of the issue with it was assembly or painting going through assembly. That's just what they said. And of course, if I could ever get invited to one of these things and review it, someone at Ford listening. And by the way, I would love to be at a launch, because if you want somebody to help show the details of that vehicle you're launching, hey, you invite me and you're going to get more than just selfies. You're going to get some stuff sent out so the people can see it. So that is absolutely certain. Did you see all the people that got the Bronco channels that went to the Lightning launch party?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Pretty cool. Good for them too, by the way. Let's see. Mobile Motto. The well liners are wider by installation. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. Maybe next week I'll mention which review it was. And like I said, the Ford rep was there with them, and they were talking about the reason why they weren't bodying it. Now, I think another reason why is on the rear flares, there's an accessory ready panel, and it has these lines at an angle in it. And it was said at the Chicago Auto Show that was a replaceable piece. So when it gets beat up from the rocks from the front tires, that it could be replaced and you wouldn't have to deal with the entire fender flare. So either way, it's not we've talked enough about fender flares, don't you think? You get back to the engine, it does have the 10R60 10-speed automatic, the Dana 50 rear diff, Dana 44 front. The gear ratios, I was kind of looking at them. They're printed in several places, but I did find a discrepancy. So I'm not going to mention those because I'll call them unconfirmed, because don't think I have them on the specs here in front of me last time I checked, and a lot of it's TBD. So, I don't want to, but I can tell you that it's got a pretty good climb through the gears and performance 1, 2, and 3, and then it really starts getting into the economy ratios, obviously 7 through 10. And so I do think the Bronco Raptor is going to, we'll see what the MPGs is. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that. Did you see, Gavin, on the front modular bumper on the Bronco Raptor, underneath the fog lights, the rigid fog lights that are factory installed? Did you see the little plastic pieces there?
Yeah, they're
All right.
for the aerodynamic.
Yep, absolutely. You want to tell them about that? I didn't know you knew that.
Yeah, so
you're awesome, dude, man. You got like all the answers.
So if you pull up a picture of the Bronco Raptor.
Sorry, we didn't load that. I could have loaded that for you. So anyway, so under the modular bumper,
right, so
you have the end caps that are removable.
Yeah, so you see at the front of the Bronco Raptor.
Well, they can't see it right here.
Oh yeah, well, it's a cool picture.
So, right. So hold on 1 second. I'll tell them, and then you can tell them all about it. So the end caps that come off for more wheel clearance to the bumper, below the fog lights, there is these plastic diverters, and you can tell them what those are for.
Yeah, they're for the aerodynamics.
Yep.
And I don't know how. In my opinion, that just looks like that's less aerodynamic, but whatever.
Yep. So I guess with testing, they determined that the plastic, and so those are removable. So you can imagine what's going to happen to a lot of those. And also there's these little rubber flares behind the rear fenders, right? In the rear fender flares that Phillips had plastic screws take those off. So I'd imagine those would come off as well. So I think, you have that on there to meet all the MPG requirements. However, if you don't like the way it looks, or if it affects something that you're doing off road, you can obviously modify it. I do like the fact that the hood and the front fender louvers are functional. They're not just there for cool looks. So that engine, and by the way, did you notice the grill difference? How much different the grill is? So it has the Ford script in the grill. But if you look at the openings in the grill, that grill is made to move more air across the radiator into the engine compartment, thus help getting rid of some of that heat, because the Bronco Raptor is likely going to be used in, low speed. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. In low speed, say rock crawling, mudding, and so where you have the heat of the engine, but you don't have the luxury of the air blowing across, right? Across the engine and through the engine bay. Now, of course, if you're doing some Baja stuff, well, you're going to be moving some air. So the grill is more free flowing. You get more air, and ultimately you get more air into the airbox as well. So if you've noticed a picture of the engine in a Bronco Raptor, underneath the hood, you'll notice that the air intake, or the inlet to the airbox, is much, much bigger. And then the plumbing from the airbox to each turbo is much larger than the 2.7. So I don't know what the flow rate is. I know the sweat volume of the engine's increased, obviously, because the CC's increased, but how much does this thing require to move? They're moving a lot more air than the 2.7. So I thought it was pretty amazing. Mobile motto, let's see. BMW panels rated for 16,000, class 5 hit rated for 17,000. I am catching up on this. Probably need to go back to the very beginning. Do I have a reservation number? Mobile, was that for me? I'm kind of going back to the top here. Yeah, let's see here. 2019, Dana 60. Yeah, Dana 50. Dana 50 is in the Bronco Raptor. Yep. I was able to, okay. Dwight Buck said I was able to change my Badlands order. Yeah, we were able to change our orders, even with the eruption green. We have the paperwork over there, Gavin, that we had. We did a video on this, and basically we got a VIN number, we got a build date, and we were able to change the trim and the color. But in all of that kind of hurrying up to get stuff done, we forgot the block heater, which wasn't huge for us and where we live, but I wanted one. And the hitch wasn't available at all. But we were able to change an order after the VIN. Now, as far as the the Bronco Raptor. I think there's pins and needles there that we said maybe we change the green, and the dealer said, you try it if you want, but really would recommend sticking with the way the order is, and so ultimately we did. Probably need to go back to the very beginning of these comments. So let's see. Tim, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't know about the pretty face part. Yeah, but yeah, fun. Hey, by the way, don't be jealous of that fire hat in the backyard. We had a campfire, and Gavin really worked hard at that. But the problem, unlike your fire, it only lasted what, 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours. We were done. So oh well. Let's see. TJ Mill 3R. I was gonna add code back to the Black Diamond, but the dealership said they couldn't change the order. They're like, yeah. So TJ, things have changed a lot. I can tell you that the last time I had to deal with anything to do with an order with a Bronco, as far as, but well, before the Raptors, there's not a ton of options in there. I mean, it's hard to believe the biggest option that I'm excited about is the Code Orange seatbelt and marine grade vinyl, because I did not want carpet. And if you do the upgraded interior, and you get carpet, so I'd much rather have the washout. But so the last time was in when did we do the order? When did the order come in for the 22? Was it December, November?
It was, I think. All right, so
or October?
No, so we had to come off of 99 in October if we wanted it, and then I think we ordered it officially late October or early November.
There you go. And good memory, dude. And so that was the last time that we had to deal with any kind of an order thing. And at the time, we were able to change the trim and the color, but we were not able to add tow. It basically just wouldn't even allow it in the system to be added. It wasn't, we were told, I was looking at the screen, it wouldn't populate, or it wouldn't, add it to the build specs. So, and of course that was then. And of course, a lot has changed since then, and they're trying to simplify and really trying to stop with the, changing to stuff that is holding up the build. Obviously, you're told that the tow pack is, and the more chips that are in the module, so the higher say if you have a high package or Lux, especially Lux, that's slowing things down. And who knows? There's all sorts of stuff. I think they actually got the tops going pretty quick. So, it is a good question. Maybe they don't want to chance anything, or I don't really know, but I can tell you a lot has changed. I could reach out to my dealer and ask them, because they're the most straight up, honest, great group of people that I think I've ever worked with in the auto industry. So they definitely tell it the way it is. Let's see. Let's go through some of the comments, Mr. Gavin. You'll read some of those over there?
All right. Let me go here. All right. So there is, I can't read the name.
I love the side comments in there. Hey man, keep it going. I love it. Keep it going. Look, that's why we're all here, to talk Bronco stuff and good stuff there. G Willikers, what's going on? The eternal fire of the Bronco Santa. Yeah, Tim, it burns bright, my friend. It burns bright. Oh, so maybe they weren't. Yeah. So TJ, I don't really know. I know at the time that we could modify, but now with the Bronco Raptor, I think things have changed to the point they don't want to mess with anything. And I ultimately agree. Yeah. And Gavin likes the color anyway.
And TJ said also maybe they weren't.
Let's see.
I'm getting.
They weren't. Just going to add on the Kurt and the 4-pin. Yep. So the 2.7 mid package. So, and the other thing too is about the 7-pin versus the 4, because with the tow pack, you get both. You get the 4-pin flat and you get the 7-pin round. I guess certain trailers, but there's converters for it. I don't know if it means that you can get your Bronco this year. I would add the hitch myself. It is better if it's done at the factory, but it depends on your towing. Like if we tow anything with the Bronco, to be the blue one because it has a tow pack. And if I need to tow anything heavy, it's going to be done with my truck anyway. Let's wrap up Super Celebration East. Gavin, what are you looking for next year? So we talked about the Bronco Raptor. We did not talk about the Everglades, which is a cool trim. I did see somewhere that the take rate on that was lower than they thought, which I guess I kind of understand it. Of course, if you put it out to the general public to order one, they would do a lot. But I think what they were trying to do is to current reservation holders is make it available just like the Bronco Raptor. But not everyone wanted to pay that much, or wanted, say, in the case of the Everglades, maybe they didn't want the snorkel or even the winch. But the other options, the squared off fenders, the color, and the pull-out tailgate is something that I think a lot of Bronco owners would go for. But when it comes with the winch and the snorkel, maybe they don't want to do that. I don't really know. But to wrap that up as far as Super Celebration East, it was a great event. Like I said, great job to whoever put it on. Met a lot of new friends there. Gavin met a ton of people there that they were like, oh, you're the guy that talks with Gavin on the show. You're Gavin's co-host. So good for you, my man. But anyway, so let's move on. So the Bronco Raptor, we did talk about that mixed in with the Super Celebration East thing. The reason why I want to bring it up is because we're able to see one versus an order. I did break it to my wife when we were down there that I had actually ordered one. And yeah, it was fun because, yeah, she was able to see it. But what happened was when she saw and sat in it and looked at it and could hear it run, she was sold on it for certain. So that is not a bad thing. So if you're gonna try something like that, it's helped to show it to them. As far as the Everglades, Gavin, what do you think about that trim? Honestly,
it is.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. I mean,
sporty looking, right?
Yeah, snorkel looks really cool. The badging looks awesome.
Now, a lot of people don't like that great big billboard on the side there.
I don't care. It looks pretty sweet.
What did we learn about the marks that are on the side, the hash marks? At least this is allegedly. How to say that?
Isn't it like water wading depth?
Yep. Water fording. Yep. So apparently the line that has the Sasquatch in it is the depth that the Everglades is safe to go in. The one notch above that is call your insurance agent. The one notch above that's called recovery. And I think the one notch below it was the Badlands. Do you really think we'll purposely take our Bronco in water that deep?
No, if we have to do it in floodwaters, then if it's really high, yeah.
I mean, I would run it up to the top of the hood, at least to where the airbox was, if my life depended on it. If you and I were somewhere and we needed to get out of, say, some rushing water or something like that. But I mean, purposely, there's other options. We're not going to do that, all right?
Yeah. But like, if there's a flood and there's no other, I mean, if it's not too deep, and if it's just a normal flood, we'll drive through it because we're in a Bronco with Sasquatch. So 35 will go right through.
502 Bourbon Crew, you want to answer that, Gavin?
Duane, you got...
Oh, did it go away? Sorry. Sorry.
Right. Duane, you guys hitting Supercell West. I was kicking it around. Long drive from Kentucky, though.
It is a long drive and a heck of a lot longer from Eastern Virginia. So, as of right now, we're really trying to go to north. I guess it's called north, right?
Where
in Wisconsin? Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. It's up in Wisconsin. I briefly did look at some pictures in there, and it was really, really cool. Yeah, we'll let you go in a minute. And but we'll be flying to that. Maybe we can rent a Bronco over there. We did see the rental Broncos in Pigeon Forge, by the way. Actually, 2 of them there.
So there's something on Google that says Everglades Green Bronco Raptor. Like, What?
Everglades green Bronco Raptor. Yeah, that's
Which one
clickbait.
are you talking
That's
about?
clickbait.
Everglades.
Yeah, that's clickbait right there.
Well,
So, yeah, Bronco. Oh, you just delete it?
No,
Man, you're like
clicked on it.
hardcore.
I just clicked on it.
Yeah, so we'll fly out to Supercell North, and there's a chance of maybe doing some other stuff at West if we were to go. Who knows? Gavin would have to fly out because he couldn't miss that much school, and I'd have to drive out. Or we could have our Broncos transported out, or the Bronco transported out, and then I could just catch up with it, maybe drive it back. Who knows? We have all kinds of options out there.
I'm gonna be flying.
Yeah, but as far as going to West, I really do want to go, and it's of course better when you take your Bronco. So who knows? Maybe we could hitch a ride with someone when we get there and hang out with them in their Bronco. Water 40. Oh, that's a sketch there. Somebody did that. Let's go through some of the comments before you have to go. Mobile, he raises dirt over. Goes, okay, let's see. Yeah, see the country in the Bronco. So Gavin and I had this ultimate plan. If we were one of the first ones to get our Bronco last summer, we were going to do cross country. We were going to head to Johnson Valley, California. But because it was September till we got the first one, the other one, that kind of acts that. So we have some stuff planned for this summer. It's going to definitely be cool. Yeah, Bronco 78, bring the tape measure. Please, if you go, bring it. And I hope to be there. Like I said, it'll be, we'll be there by the luxury of Southwest if we go. A backroads trip, 502 Bourbon Crew headed out there would be awesome. And like Mobile was saying, it's great to see the country and see it in a place that, when you fly over, it's one thing, right? You get there in a hurry, but to be able to enjoy some of that stuff. And that's what Gavin and I are trying to do with our channel, is actually go out here and see some of the stuff that I can't wait for him to.
I mean, I'd like to drive. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
Overlanding for Fun said, run through a giant mud hole. I think we sort of have a fun video. Maybe I'll run it by you guys before we post it. It's a video in the mall parking lot here. So I think we talked about that, right, Gavin? We might try that. But I also will tell you this: I have no issues getting my Broncos dirty. I do have an issue of just beating it to pieces.
Well, the blue one's
so the top's bouncing around, and
the green one's a normal Bronco, but blue one, or the Area 51, is a pavement princess or garage princess.
Oh man! So you went from pavement princess down to garage. Why don't you just call it the mall crawling garage pavement princess?
Yeah, mall crawling garage painting.
Now,
princess.
See, he's going to thank me one day, because Gavin and I sort of agreed that in 6 years or so, that's going to be your first vehicle. So do you want me to tear it up and give it to you with wheels falling off of it, or you want it in good shape?
It has mud marks on it, like this one does on this picture, like that, I'm fine. I do not care.
Look what Tim said.
If you
need to get your mom on that.
Oh yeah. If you are planning to go to North, get your hotel reservation and ASAP.
Okay.
ASAP tree.
Iconic Bronco said, did you say you have a build date? No, I do not have a build date yet. And I did stop into the dealer today to do some other business, and I did ask, because I haven't gotten any emails, but then again, I don't want to rely on that, because what if something happens, right? Oh, you're back on your clickbait. So I have not gotten a build date at all. I do know some people have, and but we were late to the game. We were the last day conversion. So we had another order in for something we were going to do later in the year. And so we converted. That was the order we converted to the Raptor. So let's see. We booked our room today. Looking forward to the drive up. Okay, so Bronco 78 and Overlanding for Fun has their rooms already up there. Tim, I'm going to message you later and find out where you are, and then maybe we'll be in that area as well. That would be kind of cool. And Gavin has to check out in 5 minutes. Let's go back through the rest of the comments.
Well,
and then you're out of here. It's supposed to be 9, but it's the first night though. We're able to break the rules a little bit, right? Let's see. 502 Bourbon Crew went to Wisconsin once on a work detail. I'll pass. Actually, I saw some pictures of this area, and it looks really cool there. I mean, but we'll see. Yeah, but we're gonna fly in somewhere and obviously drive the least amount is possible. I'm gone in 60. What is going on? Thanks for checking us out tonight. I know it's a new night and there's a whole lot going on. But yeah, all right, that's it. Are you ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk Bronco specs and see what everyone says here.
And I'm going to be watching just downstairs.
You're going to be, well, it's bedtime, man.
Well,
so
I'm going to eat desserts because since I already ate dinner.
Dude, you know how late it is?
Chula Vista Resort. The whole Vista thing over there. Like
Buna?
Yeah.
In Colorado.
Yeah, there's in Colorado, like the Buna Vista. And then there's Chula Vista.
All right, man. Good night.
See ya, everybody.
Yep, Gavin said good night. All right, so getting back to the to Bronco Raptor and Supercell, we're just going to kind of blend it all together here. The Super Celebration North is, if we get to go, and I'll know here in maybe a week. But I knew, it's coming up soon. Was it the first week or July? 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, or 7th, 8th, and 9th, something like that. Mobile, I'll tell them you said night. I do appreciate that. So, but we're definitely looking forward to going up there because, we'll see Broncos from that part of the country that we haven't seen. And there again, if we get to go to West. And so for our channel's sake, that's what we want to do. We want to, go out there and, be able to do that. Who wants to talk Bronco or Raptor specs? This is pretty cool. Now, I did download this about a month and a half ago, and I've been reviewing it and working off of it. Things could change. They might have changed. I probably should have pulled it up today, but I didn't. So if you find something different, that is the discrepancy. Pull this mic closer to me here so we can do it. And by the way, as we're building the new studio, I'm finding audio things that I don't like here, and we're moving over to that other side. And it's going to be cool. The backdrop's going to be a lot better lighting, but the audio, I think you're going to like that a little bit better because I do know the content is king, but being able to hear someone clearly is a good indicator. All right, so we know it's the 3.0 liter EcoBoost, which I'm totally okay with, by the way. That comes out to be 180 cubic inches. It's still amazing we're making the horsepower that we are with these small displacement engines. I think it's great. The bore and the stroke, it's 85.4 by 86. So an 85.4 bore and an 86 millimeter stroke. The compression ratio is 10.5 to 1. Fuel deliveries, direct injection. That's why I kind of was thinking oil catch can would be included like the Shelby, even though the Shelby is supercharged, but still the same premise. One's driven off the crank, the other's driven mainly by exhaust in the case of a turbo. Engine control system, PCM, pistons, cast aluminum, connecting rods, forged steel, and crankshaft forged steel. And I don't know if that's going to have the fractured or the cracked main bearing caps like the 2.7. If it's CGI, I imagine it would. If it's aluminum, it would not. Intake manifold is composite with welded runner pack. By the way, the composite, some people look at the plastic intakes and they think, oh, they're trying to save money and make it cheaper. Actually, composite intakes conduct a lot less heat. So it's better. It's better for the performance of the engine. So you're not getting all that radiant heat. I mean, you are getting heat around it. It's not like it's cool, but you're not getting as much conductive heat from the block, from the cylinder heads up through the intake. It is definitely helpful. And I know here I go off with my theories. Exhaust manifold is integrated into the aluminum head. This is what we talked about several times. That also enables the turbos to be mounted closer to the engine, thus cutting down one of the ways we cut down on lag. Plastic is an insulator. Mobile Motto said it definitely is. But some people, when you just look at it, you think, oh, they're doing it to be cheap. No, if you look at like my my black and gold Mustang, the 347, which by the way, I'm going to try to pull a video up here. The difference between that car vapor locking when it gets really, really hot and not vapor locking were half-inch thick composite spacers between the carburetor and the intake. So that little bit of plastic broke the conductivity of heat, right, from the engine into the carburetor, causing a vapor lock or the fuel in the bowl to flash off and basically not allow the free flow movement of fuel through the carburetor. So you know, when you see that, don't freak out. I've seen all the forums, and you know, someone loses an engine at 2.7, suddenly it's all chaos. If you look at the millions out there, it's a very small failure rate. So I am good with that. Let's see here. Let's get back. I want to go back through this here really quick. Valve train, double overhead cam with the roller finger followers and hydraulic compensating lash adjusters. Basically, the lash adjusters take the place of lifters in a pushrod engine, and the finger followers take the place of push rods. So you have a lot less moving parts, right? Everything is done. There's less room for error is basically what it is. There's less lag there. Valve diameter is 10 millimeter on the intake, and this can't be right. Wow, 10 millimeter, 32 millimeter nut. So there are 2 intake valves and 2 exhaust valves, and one of the valves is humongous. I'm going to read into that before I go from there. 7 quarts of oil with the oil filter. And I'm sure this will be another one where I only got 6 quarts out. You know, it's got a slow drain back period. Let it drain down. You'll get 7 quarts out of it. Coolant is 12.5 quarts. Advertised fuel capacity is 21.2 gallons. Exhaust system, double catalyst with resonator and single muffler with active valve technology, which is interesting. I think maybe this has changed because it is dual exhaust. So maybe some of this stuff has changed, and I definitely need to go back over that. And next week we'll revisit this to see if I can find any new news on that. But I do know it's supposed to be different, and we're not going to go through the rest of it. That's just sort of the big stuff that we're looking at. Horsepower and torque to be determined. 400 plus on the horsepower and probably 430 plus on the torque. You know, I had predicted 445 on the horsepower. I know it's strong. It's very strong. We'll see how close it is. But Ford is taking the 3.0 that's in the ST that makes 400 horsepower and added special tuning for the Bronco Raptor, which tells me that it's going to be north of that 400. And I don't think it'll be 405. I think it'll be, you know, 425, 445, somewhere up in there. So anyway, let's go back to some of the comments here. Let's see. I think about it. Okay, here we go. 502 Bourbon Crew. Yeah, Tim, good luck. Drove there. Doesn't sound like you like that Wisconsin there. Mobile Motto said F1 was over 1,500 horsepower, 1.5 liters in the early 80s. Yep, but this is streetable for longevity, and yep, I still think Ford is cracking caps on everything at this point. So mobile, even on aluminum. So you think I just thought it was CGI or cast, anything like that. I guess it's poor. You know, it's definitely a way to get rid of flex, and with boosted engines creating so much torque. And you know, a lot of people don't understand that even when a boosted engine is working right, there's a lot of bottom end pressure. So on the crank and the rods, but when one has an issue like LSPI, it really puts a beating on the rod bearings. That's why I was looking at an engine that was torn down on the video, and you could see where basically what was happening was the force pushing down on the piston that was more than normal operating was basically squeezing that oil layer out of between the crank and the bearing, and just squeezing it out, causing it to wear. And that was this person was pretty. I mean, they were one awesome engine builder, and they were able to determine that the fuel that was burning that engine based on the bearing wear, just like incredible. But that's pretty much all they do. And I'm trying to get this on the show. I think it'll be awesome to do that as well. Let's see. Heat soak is reduced. Absolutely. The interview with on South Bend made of plastic intakes. So, well, so Mobile's talking about the intakes on there. And what do we have going on here? I think we have, is Mitchell Watson here? Town and Country. All right, Mitchell, what's going on? Thank you for that $9.99 super chat. I do greatly appreciate it. Now, we're just talking about Bronco Raptors and all the cool stuff in the 3.0 engines and all the cool stuff that is being done with plastic components, not just for cost, but for performance. So it's actually pretty cool. Phenolic spacers for sure. Yep. And that's what we did on the 347 here in the garage. Weird bundle of snakes for sound tuning. Yeah, it's the tuning on the Bronco Raptor. It was amazing to hear the one at Supercell when they went through the different modes on it. I mean, one was like you like your neighbor mode, and one is you don't like your neighbor mode. And so I think normal and then quiet is two of the modes, and then performance. I forget what the fourth one was, but go from there. But hey, thanks again, Mitchell, Town and Country, for that super chat. I do appreciate it. Caps connecting rod, slept in the house. Let's see. Yeah, Celebrity is in the house, by the way. It's pretty cool. And Mitchell, thank you again for doing the walk around of your Bronco with Gavin. Man, he talks about that. You made his day, so appreciate that. And it went well. I hope you liked it. 502 Bourbon Crew, Mitchell drops in like a boss. There you go. Mobile Motto 1998 Z-Tech motor has cracked rod caps. Yeah, and I know it's not new. I just think it's becoming more mainstream. You know, Ford has figured out with the EcoBoost engines that they have a good thing there, and they're making a lot of horsepower. But with that horsepower comes a lot of responsibility in keeping the components for longevity, because we want to drive these Broncos hard. We're going to meet the MPG requirements. And like I said before, the EcoBoost is the moderator between satisfying the government and satisfying us. So I'm a true fan of it. And I only say that because when you build engines, Mobile, I know you know this, when you build engines and you have to try to get as much horsepower out as it possible, but you also want to be able to drive it on a hot day. You want it to be reliable and not have to run Cam 2 110 octane. So John Hines says he's going with 410. John, did you change that from last week? I'm going to have to go back and look at her comments. So now I think that's what you said last week. 410 horsepower, 440 torque. And that's a very reasonable number because they did say better than 400 or slightly north of 400. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's see what else. We had a great time. He's a great kid. Yeah. Thank you, Mitchell, for that. Yeah. He's learning the Bronco stuff. Sometimes it's funny. We'll go somewhere and somebody asks me a question and I'll start to answer it and he'll correct me and say, no, it's something else. I'm like, daggone, man. It's pretty cool. Let's see if we can play this video here. If we can. All right. Listen to this. And there's a point, not just because it's my old Mustang, but just listen to this video. And I want to talk to you about horsepower, but check this out really quick. All right, so that is my 66 Mustang with the 347 in it. If you noticed in that video, that was before the phenolic spacers below the carburetors. But my point being is that car, depending on when it was dynoed and what I've done to it since, I think when we dynoed it way back in 04 at the flywheel was roughly 510 horsepower, but there's been so much done to it. What we're going to do is take it to it now that we've corrected the valve train issue, which I had the entire time and didn't know I had. I am going to I'm going to take it to into a chassis dyno to actually see what we have at the wheels, because flywheel horsepower is great. It's great for certain things, but what's on the ground is the real raw horsepower. But that engine making that kind of horsepower in hot, and I say July weather, I mean, it can be hot anytime, but let's just say 95 or 90-degree air, and especially humid air, it is not a friendly vehicle. It vapor locks, and it just doesn't like it. So adding the spacers greatly reduced any vapor locking, but it's 110 octane. It is a little old school technology building, and you can see carburetors versus fuel injection. So there's a lot of inefficiencies there based on what we have to work with now. But remember, I built that in '04. That's stout for naturally aspirated engine, making that kind of horsepower on Cam 2. And I think when we take it to a chassis dyno, even though we mainly talk Broncos here, I will definitely video that to see what it is. And like I said, either we'll make better than 600 or it'll blow it up on the dyno. So, but I will be putting a Ford crate engine, fuel injected, in that car. The older I get, the less wrenching I like to do. So that engine will be for sale one day for somebody who wants to maybe do one kicking resto mod Bronco, by the way. If you want to make some noise. Mobile said, run it on alcohol. Yeah. I know the carburetors are antique, but that was sort of the build of the car, keeping it old school retro, the 2.4 Cobra intake, even though that's a replica of I have the original intake, by the way, but a Shelby 2.4 intake. I know it's not the most efficient way, but you go to a car show, it kind of looks cool. But that is going to come out. That engine will definitely come out, and we will go from there. Let's see. Have you seen the Roadster Shop rolling chassis in the early Mustangs and Camaros? Mobile, I have not. I'm assuming that's something that I can look up from there. But when we talk about engines and the things, that's why I'm so impressed with the EcoBoost, because I know what it takes to, like, you just heard that one, and it sounds cool, right? But running it is not that fun, because Cam 2 is not cheap. It's not readily available, and all that. So I will be putting a modern day crate Ford engine in it, some version of a 302 or a 306 or something like that. So it's going to be fun. But look at what these Bronco Raptors are going to be doing. Look at the heat that will be generated, and that's why they've actually added the active louvers in the front fenders and changed the hood and the bigger grill, or the bigger spacing in the grill, so that they can get rid of some of this heat. And obviously, the less heat around the engine, the better off you are in many, many ways. So I think the Bronco Raptor is going to fit a lot of needs. I don't know how many years they'll build them. I have no idea. I know Ford's invested a ton of money in the Bronco. I know both of our Broncos are, I don't know. We're just happy with them. I made a post today, and I sent it to Ford, and I was like, I think it was on Instagram or Twitter, one of the two. And basically we drove 9 hours, and then we got to do a little wheeling. Not too much wheeling, but just some fun stuff. But it's a vehicle that you can drive 9 hours and then go have fun, and the next day drive 9 hours back, and you're not totally physically exhausted from the trip. So they've really done a great job. I can't wait to see the Raptor. How well does it perform with that suspension that's on there, the Fox/Haas suspension? How will the computer interact with the travel of that 13 inches and the 14 in the rear? So you have 13 in the front, 14 in the rear. How's it going to work? And I don't know. I just think it's something that definitely something that the Bronco Raptor is going to have total bragging rights over. And look, I know Jeep has a 392. That's great if you want the V8 sound. It's great if you want the cubic inches. But wouldn't it be sad if a Bronco Raptor at 180 cubic inches outperformed a 392? I mean, that by itself would just be fun. And there is a weight distribution thing. There is how fast does the engine wind up? Yes, one is I don't even know the 392. I know they're in was Chargers and Challengers and all those cars. I'm not a Chrysler fan. I don't know their engines, but I know that the EcoBoost obviously is boosted, and with the lack of turbo lag now, I think the EcoBoost might definitely in the performance realm. I mean, maybe not in a quarter mile, but definitely off-roading in Baja. I think the Raptor is going to prove a lot of people. It's going to shock a lot of people. And you know what? Hopefully, come July or August, I'll be able to to video that. So we'll go from there. But what does everyone think? About the Bronco Raptor? What do you think about the Everglades? That's the two trims that we have right now, and what do you think about all the accessories that is going on for the Broncos? I've been late to the game to accessorize our Broncos. I know we were just talking to Mitchell there. We did a review of his Bronco. He had one of the best ideas in the world, is putting the ARB compressor underneath the rear storage compartment in the back of the Bronco, which is brilliant because it's out of the way. It's somewhere you can service. You can hook the hose up to it, turn it on easily, and you're not fumbling around, or it's not under seats or anywhere else. I don't even know. I mean, underneath the hood's okay, I guess, if you have the room. There's obviously a lot more room under the hood of a 2.3 than there is a hood of a 2.7. But I know it's coming if it's not already out. I know they had the bracket for the 2.3 first for ARB, but I don't know about the 2.7 yet. There again, I'm not up on all those aftermarket components, and I need to go there. I think on the 22 Bronco, our first major purchase, and it's not really major, but the next big purchase on that one's going to be some type of roof rail and roof rack system so that we can carry our tent, and Gavin and I can get our camping stuff going and our outdoors adventures, because we do have a few of them planned as soon as he's out of school, which is coming up here in about a month. And, we get to go have fun. And I will also tell you right now, I did a big real estate deal today. And the cool thing about it was everyone there was amazed at the Eruption Green Bronco. It's like they wanted to talk about that. And I wanted to get a good deal. It was like, yeah, let's go for a ride. But everyone was amazed. And it was funny how you're talking about, you're talking business and you're and whatever. But here's people that drive some pretty exotic cars on occasions. All they want to do is talk about the Bronco. How long did it take to get it? How much was it out the door? What's horsepower? They want to know horsepower, not torque. I'm more of a torque. I'm more focused on torque in off-roading than I am horsepower, but even though they're connected, but a little bit different. But it was just amazing, that conversation that was had by people that you wouldn't think would talk off-roading vehicles that now suddenly think, hey, I want one. It's pretty cool. So I thought that was pretty interesting, for what it's worth. Oh, let's see here. Roadster Shop, build Joe Rogan, black Camaro. Oh, Joe Rogan's a cool dude, by the way. So yeah, I bet he has a nice Camaro. My Mobile V10 wants turbos. You might want to do it. Indifferent on the Raptor and the Everglades. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I found. Either you want one or you don't, or you like them or you don't. I like the performance aspects of the Raptor. I like the unique ability, the uniqueness in general of the Everglades. I think it's cool to have the 35-inch tires, the unique wheels, which 35-inch tires, Ford made that standard with Sasquatch. But then you add the winch, you add the factory snorkel, and not just any snorkel, sort of a custom-made snorkel for that one. You have the different fenders. If you really get into the nitty-gritty, you have the mid package with the 12-inch screen, which is not an orderable combination any other way. You have the slide-out tailgate. You have the tow pack. And, the raised vents off the diffs and the transfer case for that extra water fording. I don't know. I just think it's the coolness of it. So I think it's there. I am shocked that they haven't had a conversion rate of maybe, I don't know if they've sold them out or not, or what the rate is. I don't have any way of finding out, but, oh, and by the way, someone at Ford, if you're watching now or later, I would love to be invited to one of these reveals or one of these launch parties. Man, I'm telling you, I would bring it with the content and the details, I promise you. So definitely be cool, but I don't beg. But we do want to be a part of it. Seriously, no jokes aside. So any opportunity that comes up, we definitely want to be a part of that. All right, let's go back. Bronco 78. We're camping Memorial Day weekend. Looking forward to it. Bronco 78. Yeah, we are. As soon as Gavin's out of school, we have a ground camping thing because we won't have any roof mounted tents or anything by then. So we'll be doing some ground camping, and we have two places we're going to start. One here locally in Virginia Beach, and then one up in the mountains. And that one's going to be the fun part because there are not that many bears in Virginia Beach. One or two on occasion here and there, but in the mountains, they're everywhere. So that ought to be. And we're good neighbors, and we run fast, so we're good. Let's see. I want the motor and suspension. Don't want to pay for the other stuff. Mobile, I get it, and so when you talk about banging on a Bronco Raptor, that's why I don't want the 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 suede leather seat, even though it looks cool. I think you even have the blue option because I don't want the carpet. I want the marine grade, which I think, and if Mitchell's still watching this, I think I've heard you say this before. The best interior ever is a marine grade vinyl. I totally agree with it. I think the addition. Well, I don't know if they can do this because it's not marine grade is not waterproof, it's water resistant, right? So I think adding cooling in the seats would be a great option. I know there's two things that the Bronco needs, and it needs for the next model year. It needs more interior lighting and it needs cup holders, across the board. Now, one thing that I haven't been able to figure out is the Bronco Raptor that was at Supercell East had that leather type interior with the carpet and the suede. There was cup holders in the rear seat. But with marine grade, are they going to keep that in the Raptor, or does it go away like in the other marine grade interiors? So there again, don't know yet, and the ordering didn't tell us. At least I didn't catch. Maybe it does, but I didn't catch it. So, we'll see. Let's see here. Flo, what's going on? Thanks for checking in tonight, by the way. I may be rebuilding my H3 engine. Yeah. Did you drop out of the Bronco ordering, or do you still have one on order, or what's up with that? I think I remember hearing you say you might back off, or I might be thinking of someone else. If I am, I'm sorry about that. Iconic Bronco was offered a Platinum Lightning by my dealer here in Texas, 93,000 MSRP. Isn't amazing? Golly day. I want to go back. I'm gone in 6. He said, "Hey, Duane, do you like the Lightning?" The ordering manager at work told me 36 on the list of 200 reservations at our dealership. Congratulations on that. I do like the Lightning. I don't like talk about anything negative here on our channel. There's plenty of other channels for that, but I don't like the process of the batteries being manufactured, but I like everything else. So the concept is cool and it's great. So as long as the batteries can be made without causing all kinds of chaos, I love the idea. I love the fact that it looks like a truck that you and I would go buy today. If you look at in the Tesla Cybertruck, it's definitely a unique piece of equipment, but it's not like something that we would take to Lowe's and load up mulch and go, or pull our camper necessarily with. So I think Ford's really done well by taking a truck that we're accustomed to, modifying it slightly, and then making it an electric vehicle. Which is, when I say modifying it slightly, I mean visually. Obviously, it's a completely new vehicle, but visually, it doesn't look completely opposite of what we could go buy today. So it's very relatable, and I think design and marketing in that was a home run because, it's cool to be a trendsetter, but sometimes trendsetters don't make money. Sometimes they, tread water for years, and then eventually people catch up. Maybe trucks will look like the Cybertruck one day. Or I don't know. I mean, look, all the respect in the world to Tesla because they've been leading this before anyone else. I mean, And I know other people's done stuff, but I mean, mainstream daily business, they've been doing a great job. I just think that Ford has really picked that up and really done a great job now with it. So I don't want to be forced to drive an EV, but I love the option of being able to buy one. I think that's the cool thing. But if you've got one on order, which sounds like you do, I definitely look forward. Follow you on Instagram. I'd love to see some pictures of it. It'd be cool, and I like the generator thing. I think Ford. There was an interview at one of the Ford plants, and they were interviewing Mr. Farley there, and they powered all of the camera and production equipment from the back of the truck. I just thought it's one thing to tell someone, but it's another thing to use it in that form. And I thought that was just like, I don't know. It's good. That's good business. Let's see, 36,200. Is it worth mentioning? I don't know. I think you're on the list and you're on the bottom tier of that list, and eventually it'll show up. So that's funny. John Hines said, I'm gone in 60. Are you in the north because southern states didn't get any allocations on the Lightning? So I will tell you this. Our dealer, to my knowledge, did not either. I need to find this out. Either they didn't get any or they eventually got one, but I don't think they got any, to be quite honest with you. And we're in Virginia, so there may be something to that. See, man, I'm just jumping all around the comments here. I'm going to 60. Our dealer has 8 allocations for the year. Hey, Nick, what's going on, buddy? What's happening? John Hines, gotcha. I'm gone. Reread the comment and said you're a 36. Dealer did say how many allocations you actually got. Cybertruck looks like a soapbox derby. I'm going in 60. Yeah, it's different. And like I said, that F-150 Lightning looks like something that we would go buy right now off the lot. And it was funny. I did talk to someone at Supercell that had some inside knowledge, and they did say that a lot of people with orders, especially all across Ford, was going to be surprised with build dates. And my neighbor has a F-350 that had been ordered for a while, and he was telling me that the weekend I got back, that Monday, he got a build date. So coincidence, whatever, but this person said you're going to start to see a lot of build dates out there. I'm hoping things are freeing up at least temporarily. So overlanding for Ford, I confirmed that F-150 Lightning does have under the bed spare tire holder. I was actually able to see a Lightning F-150 here in Virginia Beach when they came around sort of the Dealers Association car show. Now, we weren't able to film under the hood or underneath it. And you were only able to film what you could see from a distance inside the cab because it was pre-production. So there's some stuff there that was either not like final production or wasn't finished. And I totally get that. But underneath it, you couldn't film it, but you could see it. It's a pretty beefy vehicle. So, it's pretty cool. Nick, I'll never own an electric vehicle. Yeah, the generators is pretty much a battery. I don't really know that much about it. I need to start diving into it and talking about them more because it is a hot topic. And, I've sort of been that ICE fan for years, the internal combustion engine, but I do want to learn more about that. I know I like the torque idea. I like the instant torque because look, that's what gets the job done. I do like the concept. I'm no issues about it. For example, every house that we build, every house that we renovate, it is going to have the means to standardize plug-in. Someone asked me one time before the voltage, our typical voltage in our area is in residential single phase 208, 230. So if you're asking voltages, but our electrician will put in what is considered standard and available for the power that we have, which is single phase 208, 230. We're doing that in all the houses now because it's very easy for someone to go buy a Mach-E or a Tesla or something else. And wouldn't it be cool that's not why someone's going to buy your house, but what we do is when we build a house or we renovate a house, we flip a lot of houses, that we add all the small things and we want those to stack up to become big decisions, right? all the little things that we can add to it that makes it more appealing. Of course, in this market, you just need a roof that doesn't leak and HVAC, and you pretty much sell anything. But we still like doing our personal touch to it, and that's one of our standard business practices now, because anyone that buys that house could go buy an EV and they need somewhere to plug it in. So, the idea of the electric stuff, I don't have any plans to get one right now. However, if I was able to demo one, I'd do it in a heartbeat because, maybe it'll change my mind. So we'll see. I see 240 welder range socket, NEMA 30. Yeah, my electrician handles that. I just know we're 208, 230 in our area, which is the same as 240. That's what we deal with here. Yeah, anything like that. I wouldn't ever consider doing the 115 at all. I think it's an option somewhere, but he was telling me. Let's see. Iconic Bronco. I'd never not got an email from Ford regarding the first edition or the Raptor. Dealer gave me a reservation number and logged into the whole backdoor method to get the VIN and build dates on both. It was interesting. So the 21 Bronco that we ordered was a really good deal, right? So we had all the emails, we had all the updates. I was watching a Bronco Nation video. I think it was in July or August. And Estevan was on there, and he said, basically, if you didn't have your build date that day and you had an MIC top, to get your Bronco, you needed to convert to a soft top, or you were going to be waiting till 22. So when I heard that, I was like, you know what, let's switch over. So we converted to a soft top, and a week later I had a build date. And a month later, we had a built Bronco or something. We got our Bronco, the first one, on September 24th. And every email that came, it was on time. We were able to track the Bronco where it was in transit. Gavin and I did a video where we tracked the train, and we were able to watch rail cam live at the train coming through Roanoke, headed to Crewe, Virginia, where they unload them. I mean, we were joking. I said, that's what you do when you don't have anything better to do in life, is you follow a train. But we just thought it would be cool to see. I mean, it was sort of the thing with Gavin is he really got to see how that worked, right? How transportation works, how our infrastructure in our country works, the building process, when it was built, when it was loaded. We have, and I think we're going to do a video where I screen share that entire schedule, so you can see where it went, where that train, when it left Wayne, Michigan, where it went to it ended in Crewe, Virginia. And he was able to see an entirely different side, not just ordering a Bronco and waiting, but he was able to see the transportation part of it. And then how it got moved from the rail yard to a holding lot on the truck and then got delivered, and then my 22 passed me going down the road. I don't know why. I just knew it was mine. And, because there's only one dealer in that area. And I figured, well, why else would they be in the area? So I did a U-turn and caught up to it and followed it. Sure enough, it was my 22. And we were able to film that. And we have a video here on our YouTube channel where I was able to film it coming off the truck. Gavin being able to keep up with all that is really cool, because he also understands now how things are produced, also how things are delivered. And, Gavin appreciates truck drivers. Like, I don't know, 10-year-olds, it's like trucks. They're cool. A lot of chrome on them. They tell them, that motion on to blow the horns and stuff like that. But Gavin appreciates, because my cousin drives a truck, and he talks to him a lot, but he really appreciates the fact that the stuff that he gets to play with, use, food you get to eat, most of it gets here by truck. And man, and then with the Bronco thing, it totally helped him to relate. So, getting back to, I got on this rant about transportation, but he just really loves that idea. But getting back to what I was talking about initially, the 21, all the emails happened. They came in, everything the way it was supposed to. We got the Bronco, and then we received our picture from the plant, which I didn't really care when that picture came. I'm glad I got it, because they didn't have to send it. The 22, the schedule was a little different. So there was, the build date happened the day they took it from priority code 99 to active. It happened the very next day. Luckily, we were able to change the order and we weren't able to track it for some reason at that point. So I think the tracking system became not less efficient, but less monitored, if that makes any sense. And then I passed it on the road, and I told you all that. With the Bronco Raptor, it's completely different. It's crickets. And I know what's going to happen is I'm going to get a call and saying, hey, the truck's on the way. And I don't know if the Bronco Raptors, maybe someone can tell me, is it going to come by regular convoy, truck, or is it going to come by a specialized hauler? I mean, with the height of it, I don't really know how they're going to ship them. Maybe it fits on the truck, not an issue, or maybe it comes some specialized, maybe not in a reliable carriers or something like that, but maybe it comes on a open flatbed, right? So I don't really know. We'll see. I kind of might want to try to see if something pops up for you. Yeah, and the person that handles all this for me was out today, but I was going to have them see if they could double check because I haven't received an email. But there again, I'm totally 50-50 whether it'll come through or not, or the Bronco gets built and then I get the email. Things just changed a little bit. I don't really know. Yes, there's a lot of housing being renovated here in Atlanta, and because they're all buying an EV. Yeah, Bronco 78. I think it's pretty standard. I'm not saying that we do it like we're groundbreaking and trendsetters, but most people that flip houses do enough to get the house sold. We have a brand, and so when we flip a house, it's our brand. We're not just selling a house to a buyer. We're selling the experience of Build America construction, right? And what we do as a company, right? So we're trying to set ourselves different. Like certain car dealers are completely different, and they have the branding that backs them up, or the customization shops, and the stuff that sets them apart. And let's see here. Once they buy their permit, they have the ability to change the EV, then they have to bring the entire house electrical up to code. Yeah, so that's funny. In our area here, you can't have any code violations, but you don't have to. You say bring it up to code. So if there's old knob and tube wiring, to me, that's all being replaced anyway because that stuff scares me. But if a house has junction boxes that let's see, that's probably not a good example. Say a meter base. What if the old meter base was 125 amps or 150 amps, and now it would be 200? They wouldn't have to change it to 200 unless you change the panel. And if you had an old panel with room, you could add the EV circuit. But if it changes the load calculation, you got to, So there's certain things once you start peeling an onion that a certain house may cause us. But there again, if I can't add a charging port for an EV vehicle on the current electrical system, my company won't sell the house with it anyway. To me, that's not an issue. Some people, it probably changes the way they do business, but and also keep in mind, there's national codes. Like I know this is the Bronco channel. We're talking about building. There's national codes, but each state has the ability to adopt it out of the residential code book. And certain states require things that other states don't. So I know right here in Virginia, they're pretty reasonable. Like I said, if it's unsafe, you got to fix it, which we do anyway. However, you don't have to bring everything up to code because that's sort of like new construction. And we have a renovation code that we follow here when it's an older house. Of course, new construction's done per that new construction code. Let's see. I inspect electrical for work as part of verifying installations of heavy equipment. So I stick the multimeter. So mobile, you definitely have more knowledge there than most on that. And so that answers that. Van City Adventure. Hello. What's going on? Thanks for checking in, by the way. I appreciate you checking in with us tonight. You have three-phase crossing your yard. We have a lot of three-phase here in the area, but houses are picking up. So there's a few areas here where they have the Delta high leg, and most of our houses here, unless it's some humongous thing built, is just single 208, 230. Let's see. Hi from Windsor, Ontario. Martha, what's going on from Windsor, Ontario? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Thanks for saying hello. 4 high, 4 low. Haven't talked to you in a while. What's going on? I hope all is well with you. Anyone else that I missed, I'm sorry. But yeah, I guess this is electrical wild outdoors tonight, but or EV wild, maybe that's another one. What do you think about the EV stuff? When will it make it into the off-road and in the outdoors? And I don't mean like someone surely has already done it, but I mean mainstream, like the Bronco. That is definitely something that is it's coming, right? It's happening. It's going to happen, but it's just like, I don't know. I just like I don't like buying the gas. I don't like how much it costs because I think it's inflated. But I like the fact of hearing the engines run. Of course, the V8 sounds better, I'll admit, but I like the fact that I get to give it gas and go, and I don't have to wait for a charge and all that good stuff. However, the instant torque and performance of the EV is very appealing. And, hydrogen is one thing that is being played around with, but like anything else in this country, it's whatever the consensus is with politics is which way it's going to go. So, hydrogen could be a really good option. I say hydrogen, but there's other theories out there, but it just seems that electric's the way that's where the attention's going. That's where the masses are running. And so that's what they want to do. So I don't know. We'll see. Bronco 78, I had a kind of, that doesn't surprise me. I have to start building these for EV now. Mobile said, I would love to power the front axle with an electric motor and have the option of running steady cruise with ice, supplement electric motors and accelerate. Well, that is cool, having that option in there. The question there becomes, what's the weight? Like, you have a internal combustion engine, and you have the batteries and you have all that. What's the weight ratio? What is that? Because the batteries add a tremendous amount of weight, at least from what I understand. And the funny thing is about when companies build these manufacturing facilities for batteries, and they do it in somewhat of a rural area where housing prices or even housing is short, there's a funny thing that starts to happen is in the investment world, you start getting all these offerings that show up. People want to invest money into an area to rebuild that area or build that city out. And I can tell you there's a lot of that coming out right now. One in particular is in Tennessee. Those offerings. I mean, you're getting people that are wanting to develop a lot of. So what's crazy is how this is changing and plants starting up. You're also now changing the housing requirements in an area. So what we think of, well, I don't want EV and I just like ICE and all that. That's great. And that's a conversation we have here on a live stream, but it also changes the economy in a way. It changes housing availability, pricing, and things like that. So who knows? Maybe we'll start adding housing to the housing wild outdoors. Let's see. I'm going to 60-hour road in both the Lightning and the E-Transit work van. The Lightning was so quick coming off the corners. The driver was stomping on the gas pedal on the electric. Yeah. So Ford has the Ford Pro. And the one thing that I can really tell you about Ford Motor Company is the fact that I don't really know. And, the leadership team there seems to have their hands on the pulse of what people like me want. If I'm buying a work truck, having the ability to partner with Salesforce.com, one of the best companies on the planet, to facilitate your company in providing business solutions and how to run your business. So you're buying a van, but you're also getting the ability to run your business. Now, how cool is that? It's always been one of the other. You buy a vehicle and you go to someone else to learn how to not learn how, but to have tools to run a business. And now there's softwares, there's Service Titan, and there's, I could go through all the list of them out there that help small companies to run their business. Because here's the fact. Most people that are in the trades industry, like myself, though I will exclude myself from the next statement, most people, they don't really understand necessarily the business side of things, but they're the best at their craft. There's no one better than them. But when it comes to all the business related stuff, it gets kind of tiresome because that's not their specialty. That's not what they're good at. They're good at that plumbing or that HVAC or framing or whatever. To have the ability to be able to plug and play your business to a point, it makes it now that the transit van is now not only a asset for your company, it becomes an instrument to perform business. So whoever at Ford thought of that, man, I commend them. Great job, because that is the kind of stuff that just, I mean, it's a game changer for small business. And everybody who watches this channel knows I'm a Ford fan, but I'm saying that independently of being a Ford fan. I'm saying as a business owner, what are the Ford Pro is, I mean, I just think it's cool. So if you're in business for yourself and you're going to get a new van, well, you might want to start looking there. So, yeah. And look, mobile, welcome to anything right now. I mean, they created DuckDuckGo a couple years ago to try to, keep your stuff private as much as possible. I think all of that does happen. And, so I don't necessarily like it, but here's when I'll say this is that when you understand how a business operates, then you understand how to improve your product to help a business operate. Right. So you see the shortcomings, you're able to figure this out. If they polled them, they wouldn't be able to get a right answer. So I get it. I understand what you're saying, but I will say that it provides a service, at least on the surface. Now, maybe in 2 or 3 years, it'll be a different story, but on the surface, it provides a service that most people need, especially small contractors. So let's see. SK Innovations, not sure who they are supplying with the EV batteries. Yeah, I don't really know the ownership and all that good stuff there, but I know that they're looking to the future, and whatever the future may hold. I mean, I think the great thing is that they're not going down one path. I mean, there are the two paths. That's why the company was split up into the Model E and the Ford Blue, so that there's the ICE stuff and the EV stuff, and I really like that. I just hope it stays that way, so you can pick and choose and decide what you want, right? And I'm all about deciding what you want. And overlanding for fun, yeah. I don't know about that. I try to. I think I told you guys. Well, this is my first book, Driven, right here. My next book's called The 1 Degree, providing that the publisher finishes with that. But there's a lot of stuff in that is going to be totally relatable to whether you work for someone, work for yourself, or you just get aggravated driving down the road in traffic. And I think it's going to clear a lot of stuff up. But censorship stuff is part of that, by the way. And it's just letting people know that, there again, I don't want to get too far off we're talking Bronco and outdoor stuff. However, to be able to keep your Bronco, afford your Bronco, buy a Bronco in the future, inflation is crazy right now. It's higher than it's being announced. We're already in a recession, in my humble opinion. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But anyway, let's see. Bronco 78. I sell commercial vehicles for Ford and I do largest. Yeah. So 126-mile range is the thing that if you take an HVAC company on a very hot, say a hot summer day, a service technician can pound out 200 plus miles easy. So that is something that I think is going to improve. But I hear you. I mean, the 126-mile range is definitely, now if you're in the city, right? But if you're in rural areas, you can stack up 126 miles in a hurry, right? So there is that. I do agree with you. Mobile Motto, they just built a $1.6 billion plant here. But anyway, let's get off that because we're getting too close to politics and I despise politics. Anyway, Bronco stuff. So we talked about the Bronco Raptor. We talked about the Everglades. We talked about Supercell. Supercell's done till next year, I think, not unless we have a little comment comes up here and there. And we also talked about some specs on the Ford Bronco Raptor. Let's see what it changed. I was going to, I think by next week, I'm going to try to upload this picture. But I'm telling you, from what I could see in the engine compartment of that Bronco Raptor, it was an all aluminum engine, not unless I just couldn't see straight that day. Pre-production, though, doesn't surprise me. I just, it's interesting to see what's, going on there. You like to know, and maybe there'll be a change in it, but either way, I could care less if it's CGI or aluminum. It's going to be a good product. If you ask me, I prefer the CGI, excuse me, like the 2.7. But there again, there's other people that have other reasons like cast aluminum better, and well, okay, we all have our opinions. That's what's cool about the world. But I'm a little old school too, so the CGI fits what I'm accustomed to, and maybe that's part of so I don't claim to know it all at all. But anyway, hey, I appreciate you joining me tonight. What do you we'll go for a couple more minutes. Don't go anywhere yet. Mother's Day as of right now. Now I do have some family stuff Saturday to do, which is going to be hard for me. We're finally having my brother's memorial on Saturday. And we're going to spend the rest of Saturday with my mother and my mother-in-law. And Sunday, weather permitting, is Becky's day, and she wants to go off-roading in the Outer Banks, which I think is cool. So yes, I'll be getting the blue Bronco, which I'll be driving dirty, the 21, Area 51, and she'll be in the 22 Eruption Green. And, she's driven on the beach before with me, but this will be her chance to just go do what she wants to do and go have some fun. There's a couple of videos on my YouTube channel of going up some hills there. There are a few hills, sand dunes that you have to go over. It's only select areas you can drive over it. It's the roads that go into the neighborhood. So Corolla, if you don't know what Corolla or Corova is, it's northern Outer Banks. So it butts up to Virginia. So if you're familiar with the Outer Banks, there's Kitty Hawk, Nag's Head, Southern Shores, Duck, Corolla, Corova, and that's kind of going north. When you get up into Corova area, the houses, they're in a neighborhood that is beach. There's no hard surface roads, no curb and gutter. These are just houses out in the sand, and they're on the other side of sand dunes. And so they have basically roads. So you can't mess with the dunes anywhere else other than these designated areas, but those areas are pretty steep. And those dunes are to protect that neighborhood from hurricanes and stuff like that. So it makes really fun. If you go to Johnny's Car Care and Review, he has a really good video. I think the title is "Do You Need Sasquatch or Not?" or something like that. And you'll see his blue Bronco and my green one there. And if you watch that video, you'll get to see a really good shot of behind my Bronco going up the hill. But also on my channel, we have some stuff too. So, it's not just driving on a beach. There is some real loose sand there that can get you stuck if you're not careful. I actually uploaded a reel today on YouTube of pulling a Ford Excursion out of the sand. So when Highway 12 ends, it's asphalt ends in the sand. It is real loose right there. And someone just bottomed out and started spinning. And that 2.7 EcoBoost, without breaking a sweat, and with Johnny's help, shoveling, we were able to pull right out of that. And it was fun. It was fun. So, let's see. Do you know if the Bronco off rodeo will ever come back to Florida? Brandon, I don't. So in Virginia, in the VIR, I think it is Virginia Motorsports Park or something. I didn't draw on a blank right now. They had a mini Bronco off rodeo. I say a mini. It was a very small course for people waiting on the Bronco that couldn't go to off rodeo. So they're able to do that. It might be one like that, but I know the big one is New Hampshire, Texas, Moab, Nevada. That's it, right? Yeah. Nevada, Moab, Texas, and New Hampshire. I think that is the really the big rodeos. And I think Becky wants to do Moab this year. And because we have the second Bronco, shouldn't be an issue scheduling that. But I don't know. Bronco said, "Hey, can you camp on the beach there?" As far as I know, you can. Now, part of the rules there, you don't need a permit certain times of the year, and other times of the year you do. And the permits, you go online and get it. It's just pay some money for it. I don't know if camping is seasonal or if it requires a separate permit. That is a good question. Need to find that out. But yes, I do know that people do camp out there, whether they're supposed to or not. It's one thing. I do need to check into that. However, no fires. I mean, that's the one thing. You can't have any fires on the beach at all. Let's see. In Texas, off rodeo has a contract for 3 years. The option will extend it. Yeah. So I'm gone in 60. I guess, like I said, I had a conversation with somebody that said, yes, it was 3 years. There was an option, but then what if that option wasn't renewed? There could be like a private type. It could always be turned into a private deal. So where, you could join a membership or maybe. So I think the options there, it depends on how popular it is. I can tell you, if you have a chance to go to an off rodeo, I mean, unless you go wheeling every single weekend and you think you know everything there is to know about wheeling, then maybe you don't. But it was a cool experience for me, especially learning. But it was fun, the camaraderie, meeting other people there, which it was funny. We went to Townsend to Supercell East, and I saw several people that were there the same weekend we were there at Texas Off Rodeo. And it was sort of that fun reunion thing. How's it going? Some people had their Broncos, some still didn't. But the friendships that you form, the people that you get to meet, we even made a possible business connection one day with someone there, in Texas, which is pretty cool. But it was fun. And everyone there had the same common goal. We all ordered a Bronco or two, and you were learning how to drive it. And if you already off-road, you learn the unique features of the Bronco. So a lot of people know, well, you have the GOAT modes, right? Goes over any type of terrain. You have the modes, and then you have the hero switches. And some of like if you go to sand mode, the rear locker automatically engages, but then you can customize that. You can lock the front and unlock the rear. You can modify it. So not only do you have the GOAT modes, but then you're able to modify each mode. And when would you do that? And that's the kind of precise stuff that you get to learn at off rodeo. So I highly recommend it if you get a chance to do it. It's a cool trip. It's fun. You get to meet some really cool people. So yeah. Overlanding for fun. No fires. You're out. Well, not there, my friend. Not there. Yeah, and I'm going to 60. You said I definitely would join a private off rodeo membership. I would in a minute, because of course you can go to different places, but when you're able to, there's you have masterminds in business, right? It's called masterminds. People get together and they figure out stuff that you're doing, they're doing, and you put it all together and everyone improves. What about off roading? It'd be cool to have that weekend there that maybe I'm looking at doing a mod to my Bronco and I'm not sure, and someone else did it and they really get to perform and show it. And I mean, that might be getting into too precise, but you're able to see the component in action, and maybe that becomes like, okay, like what you have looks cool and all, but it really works too. So I'm in. And of course you can do that at a park. I mean, you can go to a motorsports park, you can go off-roading, you can talk to people, you can go online and all that. But I mean, how many people online, they've done a modification, it's the best thing they ever did. But if you actually went wheeling with them, maybe it is, maybe it's not. So I think somewhere like that, you get rid of the fluff, you get rid of trying to impress each other, and it's just down to, here's what I'm good at, here's what I'm not good at, and you work on your weaknesses and build other strengths. And that's just the way it is on a private mastermind in business. And I think a private course like that would be something that I would do in an absolute heartbeat. Bronco 78 said, Duane, you need to look up the posted rides listed for Supercell Wisconsin and do a little review on those. We're trying to figure out if we want to join any of them. Well, I'll be thumbing it if I'm in some of those rides, because I would be flying there. Now, I do know in Pigeon Forge, there was a Big Ben, a red Big Ben soft top for rent. And then in Gatlinburg, there was a Badlands Cyber Orange soft top for rent. Both non-Sasquatch, I guess. So one was a Big Ben non-Sasquatch, and one was a Badlands non-Sasquatch. But either way, you could rent a Bronco. I wonder if you can up there. And of course, now that I've said it, they'll be all booked and go from there. 4 high, 4 low. You should drive in the beach at Oregon Inlet, Nags Head. So we are, we've done Corolla, and that's where we're going this weekend, weather permitting again. But I have a friend with a Jeep that I keep trying to convince, let's go down south. So from Oregon Inlet, even further south, different beach entry points. And down there, I personally think it gets a little more rugged down south, especially with the recent storms. The beach seems to be less manicured, so to speak. My wife likes Corolla because, the chance of seeing wild horses, which we haven't seen any the last 2 times we were there, but the idea of being able to see the horses. And before anyone comments, I know you can't pet them, you can't feed them. We know that, but I'm just saying, to be able to visually see them, in the wild. She's a horse fan. She loves horses. And so it'd be pretty cool. Yeah, less beachy Bronco 78. It's a little more rugged, man. It's like my buddies down under there in Australia, man. They're the snorkel kings, by the way. I was actually communicated with someone with a YouTube channel in Australia, and I wanted them to be a guest to talk about snorkels, whether that actually happens or not. But this dude is like, you see his videos. I mean, they like, the sand is for them. It is nothing. F2F terrain. When you going to come to you? F2F terrain. Funny thing you should say that. So we talked to someone in Supercell that wants to put together a weekend for a few of us to go, and I told him I was in. So yes, that would happen for me. And I keep hearing about it more and more and more. So it's like, okay, now I'm thinking about it every day. So yeah, I do want to go. I think it would be cool to be able to go. In a little bit different terrain now that, like I said, both Broncos are getting dirty. I know people laugh at me, but I think the 22 Badlands is the hardtop is the one we would take. We'll see. Definitely the Raptor when we get it. We'll definitely have that in the sand. That's going to be cool. Mobile motto: the stable on my property is delightfully empty. Amen, brother. Right now the 2 horses we have are 2 Broncos. We had 2 live eating horses that required a lot of maintenance. I say a lot of maintenance. They needed different type riders. So my wife has a riding style that on one horse was too fast and one was too slow. So she's in the market now to find the perfect horse. And so that's where we're at. But she still has horses that she rides, friends, different horses, things like that. And yeah, there's that. So I definitely agree with you. But you know what? If she likes horses, she's going to have a horse. I wonder if Overlanding for Fun said, I wonder if Photobomb Steve will show up north. I think he just happened to be in that area, at least while I was trying to gather that. I think he just happened to be in that area. He lives not far away from Supercell. I don't know if he was there for the Bronco thing. It sort of made it sound like he was just there to camp. But I bet you if someone is in a photo that you didn't see when you took it, it would be him. You ever watch that movie, Mr. Deeds? And the one guy that he kept saying, sneaky, sneaky, he just kept showing up somewhere. That's what he reminded me of. It's like, dang, I took a picture and did not see the guy. And when I get home and look through my phone, he's in the picture. It's like, if there is a contest, right, for somebody to do something like that, he would be the champion. He'd win all the prizes. So pretty cool. Let's see here. Yep. So overlanding for fun, you said we went back to that. No fires, you're out. We already talked about that. Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. Bronco 78 terrain. What about for a 78 Bronco or 2000 Excursion? So I'm gone in 60. Has anyone started collecting Hot Wheel Broncos like me? Gavin and I have. We go to Kroger twice a week. They get they get the stash in. Yeah, and so we started collecting them. And of course, Gavin likes playing with them. So we have this we have to buy 2 of each so he can take one out of the package and I can keep one in the package. Because stuff like that, I get it. You get it. He gets it to play with. I get it for collectibles. F2F Train says 78 might be all right to keep the Excursion at home. Yeah, it might be a little big, right? Long wheelbase, stuff like that. Oh, by the way, one of the rumors, the reason why the Bronco Raptor is only in a 4-door is because of the wheelbase requirements. Like, if you looked at a short wheelbase as a 2-door, it would be a very potentially radical vehicle to drive. And apparently sorry about that. Apparently the Bronco Raptor is going to be very spirited. The ability to drive it spirited is going to be there. So from what I understand, the 2-door wasn't an option because of the wheelbase. But speaking of wheelbase, so the Excursion does have a long one. You saw the video if you went to my shorts of pulling that one out of the sand. However, I think that gentleman there had an issue with the 4x4 in it, I believe, is what Johnny was thinking. Anyway, did you remember anything more about that? So F2F Terrain. No, we were talking about that earlier. I'm looking at the printout from Ford right here that says that the 3.0 is going to be a CGI block. However, the one that was there was aluminum, but it was pre-production. So I would totally imagine that the testing that's happening, which engine does the best, is still part of the process. I mean, something could change in a heartbeat, but I don't really know. And what I guess next week I could upload a picture of it, and you guys could see for yourself. All right. Last thing here, Ford Authority, not last thing, next to last thing. Ford Authority, which is, I love the website. I get to go there and get a lot of great information. Ford Bronco among top 20 fastest selling new vehicles in March. Well, part of that you could say, well, yeah, because people waited to order, reserved and ordered and took delivery. So the dealer that I use, like, know, and trust, they had 2 orders come in that both people backed out. So with both Broncos, they slightly modified it, changed the tires and the rims on one, did a lift on another and some stuff. Both of those Broncos sold, I think, within a day of them going to the front for sale. So even though I know the numbers, on the surface might be like, of course they sold quick because people have been waiting on them. But even when the Broncos show up on the lot, at least in our area, they don't last. I mean, they are gone in a few days. So, as far as the Bronco being one of the top selling vehicles, and of course, the article does go on to break it down a little bit more than just that headline. So definitely head over to Ford Authority and check that out. And that, I mean, it's by any means, the article's a few weeks old now. It's a couple weeks old, I think, or maybe about 10 days old. So it's not exactly breaking news, but it is something I was reading over tonight, and I definitely thought it was interesting. Let's see. I've been seeing more and more in my area, mostly Big Bens and Black Diamonds, some are Sasquatch. There is quite a few Big Ben Sasquatches in our area in the Mid-Atlantic region for some reason. I did see a lot. So F2F Terrain said the 3.0 makes gobs of torque at super low RPMs. And a couple ways they do that is that small scroll, that small diameter turbo. There was one YouTube channel that I couldn't help. I was trying not to comment on it because everybody has their opinion. That's cool. But they were talking about the performance was lagging because the turbos were so small, and that's the exact opposite. the power band, which is in the RPM range of an off-roading vehicle, with the slight exception of a Bronco Raptor with the Baja motor, maybe a Wild Track, but that power band covers just about every RPM range that you would find yourself in. And that small scroll turbo really builds that low end torque. But the cool thing about it is it doesn't look like an EKG. It is a long graph. It's sort of a long curve, right? So it carries the torque further up the RPMs and dies off slowly versus like falling off a cliff. And that's contributed to the turbos, the twin turbos. It's also contributing to, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It's not just the diameter of the compressor or the actual turbo itself. Or the turbine, turbine on the exhaust side, the compressor on the intake side. It's not just the diameter, it's a lot of other stuff. But that is one thing, that the size of it, don't let it fool you. Those Garrett super or turbochargers are spot on. So I totally agree with you. The 3.0 is like a lot of torque. Yeah. Here in San Antonio, most of the Broncos that leave my dealership are Badlands for obvious reasons. Yep, I see 5-1 Sports. Yeah, and look, I know there's the whole thing about the sports stuff. We started Virginia Broncos on Facebook page here, and we have a new Bronco each week. That is the cover. Next Friday, this coming Friday, here in a couple of days, it'll be a sport. Will be the cover for the week. It's a sub brand. The people don't understand the business side of it. I get it. If you don't want it, don't buy it. But it is a Bronco. Ford named it a Bronco. And I understand all that disagreement. I get it. We all have our opinions, but it is a Bronco. And there's a lot of people that don't want the midsize, dare you say full size. They don't want the midsize Bronco. They wanted the small compact for their driving needs, but they wanted that sport. They wanted the Bronco name. They wanted all that. So that's cool. So I understand the three different Broncos, the Sport, the 2-door, and the 4-door. I get it. The 4-door is there because if you want I almost said big Bronco, I won't go there. If you want the midsize Bronco for like my family, I need a 4-door. A 2-door is cool. It's great. Yes, it looks like the OG. I get it. But I need a 4-door, and then there's contributions that the long wheelbase makes over the short wheelbase of the 2-doors, but the 2-door has options or abilities that the 4-door doesn't. So that's the glory of it. Buy whichever one you want and make everybody around you happy. So yes, there's a lot more people that are buying the sports than the midsize, but then part of that is also because the sports came out sooner and they build them faster, less constraints, even though there are constraints, less constraints than the 2 and the 4-door. So let's see how it looks in a year from now, 2 years from now. Let's see if that rate is still, the take rate on the Sport is still a 5-1 or whatever, rate it is. V6s don't spin fast enough to utilize big turbo. I understand that. But I can also give you the example where NHRA, where some people were racing the V6s that were winding them up to 10, 11,000 RPM, something insane. Well, that's a different story, right? But yeah, factory, if you look at the data, if you look at the performance data of why the small diameter turbos, it wasn't the ability of the engine, it was to create a torque band that lasted over the torque range that they wanted for that engine. I've had a conversation with someone that has done a lot of EcoBoost stuff, and he said it was clear. Of course, you can do all you want to, whether you can put one giant turbo right underneath the hood, and even if you could wind that engine up that much, it would take forever and a blue moon for that to start boosting and start making enough power. But they were saying it was purpose driven, that the small diameters were there for that power band, which was there to work directly with the gear ratio, the tires, the goat modes, the overall performance of the Bronco. So like, where would you find yourself at in the Bronco and at what RPMs? and they try to satisfy that as much as possible. Now the Raptor is a different animal because the Raptors, I don't know, when they release the horsepower and the torque, they'll eventually you'll see how much torque it makes at what RPM, right? Or how much horsepower it makes at what RPM. So you'll get to see that power band in that. But I am aware, small, yeah, I get it. V6s, but look at the EcoBoost. Look at what guys are doing with the 2.3 EcoBoost as far as drag racing. Now, a lot of them are changing. I get it. The turbos are aftermarket. They're modified. I understand that. But some people are racing these cars factory, is exhaust tuning, engine tuning, things like that. Oh, let's see. They should have smaller turbos, spool up quicker, and get you to boost faster. They do. That is one of the reasons. Less lag. Also, exhaust tuning as well. The fact that the turbo is closer to the engine helps. So it's like all of these little things that have been done has been there to help overall performance. It's not just one thing, right? It's a quarter inches adds up to feet eventually. You know what I mean? Let's see. 14s have problem with turbos falling off the efficiency range across the whole RPM range. So who knows? Maybe next week, maybe we can pull that graph that I have of the 2.7, which when I did the 2.7 video, one of the things I thought about doing in there, but I didn't, was showing that. And my 347 that I have, it pounds the torque. I mean, it gets the torque going up pretty high, the RPM range, but it dies off relatively quick. And that's what I'm saying. It's you can make horsepower, you can make it different RPM ranges, but then suddenly you get to a point to where you just die off. And that's where gearing comes in. That's where shifting points come in. That's where, you stay out of that range where you start going down. But looking at a Bronco, it carries that. I think even in the reveal video that they talked about the power band and how well the Bronco performed in the entire power band and not just in segments of it. Now, if you try to drag race a Bronco, I mean, but that's not what they're built for. Anyway. Let's see, wait for K&N to finally launch their cold air intake. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have some cool stuff, and there's going to be a lot of the aftermarket stuff for particularly the Bronco, but the 2.7 second gen stuff as well. Lethal Performance put a JB4, and they made a ton of power at 315 horsepower at 380 torque on the wheels on a 93. Yeah, and that's at the wheels, so that's the most torque specs that we talk about is at the flywheel. So that's very impressive. The 2.3 is a very stout engine, by the way. Because it's not a full size, even close, 2000 Rangers. Hey, it's funny? So Bronco 78 was, I think Craig mentioned it, or maybe it was somebody else mentioned, but either way, if you look at a 4-door Bronco and look at a 78 Bronco, there is not a huge difference in the wheelbase at all. I mean, at all. So, definitely one of the things. I'll actually look something up here. Too bad I didn't have Gavin up here to help me out with this. But here we go. Let's see. Sorry, folks, you're having to see me. Well, I can't find it right now, but I sent a text. Maybe Becky will bring it up. Let's see. There was a lot of early Broncos diehards that said that 78.7 is not a true Bronco. I guess some things never change. If Ford put the name Bronco on it, it's a Bronco. Sorry, I mean, like I see some of these posts on social media, and I'm sorry if you're one that just like takes a stand in that, but I don't see it. I commented on one of the Bronco Facebook pages and said, hey, the Bronco Sport actually drove one in Townsend, Tennessee last year, and I drove it through the ruts. And I mean, it's a pretty substantial vehicle for what it is, right? The size and the ground clearance and all that. And we had a fun time. And, say you're a Bronco Sport owner without saying you're a Bronco Sport owner. I was like, what does that mean? So I posted a picture of my two Badlands and nothing. Like you can like them both, and so I can't wait to get the Raptor and add to that But look, if you don't like a Bronco Sport, don't buy one. If you don't want a 2-door, don't buy one. If you don't want a 4-door, don't buy one. And what Ford has done is given us options so that it appeases a lot more people. And I look at it from the business standpoint, and that's what I like. And I hope I don't lose people over that. But it's just my humble opinion, and I respect yours. Like, no issues. Turbos are recreated, normalized atmospheric pressure in aircraft. Yep. And then the benefit to and it's a Bronco 78. Yes, mobile. It was based on the 74 F-150. F2F terrain makes only slightly more horsepower compared to the 2.3, but a lot more torque. Definitely agree to that. I'm getting code talk over here behind me. But the 78, let's see, the Bronco 2 is closer to the EB than the 78, 79. I think we're still going back about the 78, 79 Bronco. You know what I didn't like about the Bronco 2 or the Ranger at that time? I didn't like the first V6s that came out. Were they 3.8s? They seemed to have a little bit of vibration to them, but that's back when V8s were, or V6s were really starting to become more and more and more popular. And now I remember seeing Mark Martin race at Richmond with that Stroh's car that he had in the Busch series, and he went to V6s. And that started to change my mind about them. And of course, now they're completely different animals and totally great. But the EcoBoost program, like I said before, I'll say it probably if I live another 100 years, I'd say it. Right now, it is the best way to make performance with the energy efficiency or the NPG requirements that are out there. So anyway, getting a text going here. Let's see. The new Bronco is the grandson of the Bronco 2, both the Ranger derived. I mean, we could take that one. Yeah, we could take that one down the long, long road. Hey, did anyone ever hear the podcast Bring Back Bronco? Let me know in the comments if you heard that podcast. It's very cool. The funny thing was last year, somebody told me about it, Super Celebration. So on the way back, I listened to it for the first time, and it almost took the entire trip. And I listened to it again this time because I wanted to make sure that I'd remembered everything, and because I was going to talk about it in detail, even though I haven't. But if you haven't, you go to wherever you get your podcast and look it up, Bring Back Bronco. It's very, very interesting for sure. Let's see, 2.8 later, 2.9. F2F Train said, do you plan to drag race the 2.7 versus a 3.0? Yeah. The only way that I would ever do something like that would be in the sand, off-road. I wouldn't do it on the street. And when you go to Corolla, you can't do that anyway because there's speed limits there. Next to the water is one speed, up high is another. But I mean, it's like the road, I would have to be able to go somewhere that you could go whatever speed you want to go and try it. I find that to be kind of, I don't know, if it's off road and you're sort of thinking like the Baja stuff, then speed does matter. But if it's on the road, I see no sense in doing it. Yes, sure, it makes a good video. It's cool and all that good stuff. It's interesting. But then again, I couldn't do it on the road anyway. I'd have to do it on a, off-road type stuff. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know if we'll do that. Let's see. I have Bronco 78. They've definitely come a long way. Yep. I have looked it up. The reason why I say Bring Back Bronco, the podcast, there's a part in there, and you may know this already, but there's a part in there where the Bronco Underground, the guys that the men and women at Ford that never wanted to let the Bronco like ride off into the sunset. They always wanted to come back, and they kept trying and trying and trying, and they were close, and then they weren't, and then this happened, that happened, and the pieces to the puzzle had to come together. Part of that puzzle was they had to build it on a platform that was currently in production or going into production. And so I don't want to spoil it for you, but the Ranger the new Ranger is why the new Bronco exists in a nutshell. So if you haven't listened to that podcast, I would highly recommend you do it. It's just so uh, informative, and it's cool to hear some stories mixed in with it as well. See, I've looked it up. I'm going to Bronco 78 said I've looked it up. Going to try to listen to it when you get time. Yeah, and do it in bite-sized pieces. There's different chapters there. I forget how many chapters, but I like when I'm driving somewhere. Typically, I'll listen to Joe Rogan or someone like that, Tony Robbins. Between here and there. But coming back from Townsend, I was able to listen to the entire thing again, and it was very interesting. While I ate my M&Ms, by the way, let's see. Speed definitely doesn't matter here in North Georgia mountains. It's about low end torque. Yeah, and the one thing I'll tell you that I had the luxury of hanging out with Craig with Bronco 78, we did the Foothills Parkway, and it's in the mountains, so there's some downhill, but then there's some uphill. It was funny. I think he was 3 Broncos back from me, or maybe 4. I had the window down, and I think I have a video where you could hear the rumble of that 351M. You could just hear that thing just working up that hill, and I don't mean straight now. I mean, it sounded good, right? And that's where you miss the V8. It's like, and I think there was a Ferrari that came through there, wasn't it? It was a Lambo, or I think it was a Ferrari came through there as well. Florida tags. Let's see. Yeah, Bronco said it's America. Yeah, that's what it sounded like, didn't it? Right? It's just screamed America through the valleys of Tennessee. Yeah, I gotta love it. But you do miss the V8. You do miss the V8 sound. But okay, fine. I want performance. I don't want some slug that I can go off roading here and there. One thing when I hooked up to that excursion and pulled it out of sand in the Outer Banks. I know it wasn't buried up to the windshield, but it was a heavy vehicle and it was in the sand. And that 2.7, it took just a little bit of throttle. And I was in sand mode, which is 4 high in the rear locker. And that was it. I didn't do 4 low. I didn't do anything with the front lockers. I figured if you ever see and I haven't tried this, I need to try this probably before I say it, but I'll go ahead and say it. If you ever see all the hero switches, right, lit up, except for the roadside, well, even that one, if you ever see all the hero switches lit up at one time, it's because you're in some deep, you're in a bind. I mean, if you've got sway bar disconnected, front and rear, and of course, traction control comes off anyway in certain modes, but the Bronco's cool. Now, of course, if you don't have a Badlands, then you have the nuggie holder, as David said, and so you don't spill the barbecue sauce. You gotta have somewhere to hold the barbecue sauce for the nuggets. The 2.7 sounds a lot better than my Jeep 2.0. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. You look at little things like the size of the exhaust, right? Like some people look at it and say it's an exhaust pipe, but I look at it and say, well, it's the exhaust pipe's not the size of a quarter. It's I don't know what size it is coming out of the back of our Badlands 2.7. Maybe is it 2.25, 2.5, 2.5 inches, maybe. I thought for the engine it was pretty substantial. Now it is, right out of the muffler. I get it, but and the one thing that I haven't done is really tried the tried and true tested method of changing the exhaust on the new Bronco. I haven't seen the numbers, but I hear people say that they can feel a difference, they feel better, but I'd like to see the numbers. And maybe someone, if they're going to change their exhaust system out to something that's supposed to give them a lot more horsepower, maybe run their Bronco on a chassis dyno before and then do it after and do a video on it. If I think I would pay to do that if I was changing the exhaust on mine. And as of right now, I have no intention of changing the exhaust on my Broncos because let's face it, I don't want to start wrenching on them. The fun stuff, adding accessories, lights and stuff like that. That's one thing. But I don't want to start wrenching underneath the hood. And the weather I work on, it depends on whether I get from here to where I want to go. I don't want to do that. I just want to accessorize it, you know. Let's see. Exhausts aren't the bottlenecks that they were in the late 90s. I totally agree with that, Mobile. Let's see. I got lucky when I found my Excursion last year. It was really good shape. Transmissions, definitely the weak spot. Bronco 78 is talking about an Excursion, which is a very large vehicle. We knew someone with one and they loved it. They were moving and they sold it and they downsized some stuff. They did sell it, but while they had it, they loved it. So you change the exhaust, it's pointless except if you want it noiser. Yeah. And another thing is when you start messing around with, internal bypass or blow offs, exhaust, you start changing tuning. It's not one thing. You're not doing the one thing in the front of the engine. It doesn't affect something else. So the one thing that I'm always cautious about is if I'm going to do a modification, what else is it going to affect? If you're putting in the atmosphere, I don't know. I'm just trying to, like I said, I've come to a point in my life to where I really like hitting the remote start or pressing the button and going. And so, that's why I have a new Bronco and I haven't built a resto mod and done some stuff like that, just because, and of course you can build a resto mod like anything else that can be reliable, but it costs a lot of money. So I just wanted a new one anyway. It's pretty cool. Changing the also point, which is I still like the sound of my 302 and my 1970 Bronco. Nick, I get it. First of all, I love the early Broncos, period. But I said it earlier, we were talking, there's nothing like that V8 sound. When Bronco 78 was coming up the parkway behind us, you could hear it and you're just like, like he said, America, right? It just screams the 4th of July whenever that thing is hustling. Let's see. I got the nugget holder. I'm actually installing the sway bar disconnects this week. F2F train. Let me know how that goes. I'd definitely like to know. But the good news is you can put the barbecue sauce in there and not worry about spilling it. It's in millimeters. What did I miss there? Maybe that was about my, is that Mobile? Was that, you said it's in millimeters. Was that about the exhaust diameter? Yeah, whatever. It's like, what size would a tennis ball fit in it? A golf ball, yeah. But, let's see what we got going on here. The exhaust. Yeah, I get it. I'm old school, not metric. I did read something. Have you ever heard of the 3.0 Vulcan? And I didn't say a cuss word, YouTube. Vulcan V6, 3.0 Vulcan V6. It was a push rod engine. I was trying to research the 3.0, which by the way is an elusive little creature. And I haven't had the luxury of working on one or seeing one. But I was doing some research on the Vulcan. That powered a few vehicles. I think the last vehicle it powered was a Ranger, but it was a 3.0, and it was I had a 3.0 Vulcan and two of my Rangers. Yeah. Yeah. So I've never worked on one, never had one, never heard of one. I did see a video where someone put a blower on one and at what point would it hold up? And believe it or not, the thing actually held up for a while, but it eventually went. I'm an engineer and despise metric. I get it. Yeah, so I'm still old school. Sometimes I want to take a, standard socket and try to make it work on a metric stuff. I know better, but whatever. But let's see. Ceramic. Nick says ceramic coated the headers, 2.5-inch exhaust with MagnaFlow muffler. So the ceramic coating is a great option. My 347 Mustang has it. I like playing that video. If anybody wants to hear it again, let me know. I'm sorry, like a kid in a candy store. Let's see. The 4R70 hot trash. I hear ya. Let's see. These also aren't the bottlenecks that they once were. I think we went through all these comments already. I was making sure I didn't miss one. And hey, a big shout out to Mitchell Watts with Town and Country for that super chat. I do greatly appreciate it. Believe it or not, super chats go a long way with this channel. And if you haven't already, I know there's only a few of us here tonight, like about 20. Hit the like button for me. If you would, just smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. That really helps us with YouTube quite a bit. We're doing the Wednesday night thing. We'll see how it works out. I don't know if anybody else is doing a stream or not. It looked like a pretty wide open night, and that's what we're doing. So we're going to do it. And do we add a second night one day? Who knows? This is YouTube. We have no idea really what the future holds, but Wednesday nights at 8:30 is our night. And that's when Mr. Gavin gets to join me. And that's the most important thing is Gavin's here. And Gavin keeps me straight, by the way. Like I said earlier, sometimes we'll talk to someone about a Bronco and he'll tell me, nope, that's not right. It's this or that, or something to do with the trim level and what comes with it. So pretty amazing. Let's see. Overlanding for Fun says, I'm all about metric now. So much easier than everything is based off of 10. I hear you. Have a good night, everyone. F2F Terrain, thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate you doing it. Mobile Motto Ford Performance used to have a handy charts back in the parts catalog and displayed the bore spacings and other variables. Yeah. So there's some old school stuff out there. I think, my basis so I built, like I said, I built engines, and it was kind of cool to be able to build an engine for a roundy round car because I was like the outsider. I know nothing. I don't know what I'm doing. And you get to learn, loose is fast, but don't last. Right. So if you had the money to rebuild an engine over and over again, if you build it with, if you had more tolerance in an engine, then, potentially that would build more horsepower. It would help you wind the engine up with less resistance. But obviously, you don't like being the reason for the caution every week. So I was able to learn there. But most of my stuff, my engineering, I'm not an engineer, but most of the engineering data that I've ever had to use and work with and apply has been from the HVAC business years ago and now in the building, because we don't just, build square boxes with a roof. We do some cool stuff in there. Working with Extreme Makeover, you're working with, a chairlift system that goes through the entire house that can take someone from one room to the other room, and they're not now limited in their mobility. So it's pretty cool. The engineering behind how that system goes in and how it works is cool. Some of the HVAC, the plumbing stuff, conditioned crawl spaces, attics, and all that fun stuff. And that's where my background is. So a lot of it's heavy based on airflow, but airflow for an HVAC system is different than an engine, right? I mean, there's a lot of coefficient differences or coefficiency differences. But like with the black car, 66, the car right here, man, I have a field day with it. So, but yeah, overlanding for fun, humorous when we use the Japanese machines that are metric converted to display the standard English units. Yeah. The metric standard stuff. I don't know. I just like one or the other, and just be done with it. Hey, what time is it, by the way? We've been going for 2 hours and 22 minutes, and that's pretty good for our channel, right? I mean, here we are hanging out on a Wednesday night, and it's 10:52. But if there's anything else you want to talk about, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up here at 11. So we've got a few more minutes. But I appreciate everybody joining us. Bronco Wild Outdoors. If you look at some of our videos, if you're just checking us out, please hit that like button, subscribe if you don't mind. Look at some of the videos we have. We have off-roading stuff. We've just started that, by the way. Very little off-roading, but we have started it. But if you want to know some of the tech stuff about the Bronco, we've put the videos out there. I am actually going to add to the top video that I did, and it's going to be in relation to the rear panel, and I'll tell you why in that video. We have the oil sample video that'll finally be coming out here in a few weeks. I've been waiting for a reason. You'll understand why. We have the two Broncos side by side after we're 6,000 on one and almost 5,000 on the other. That's not a ton of miles. I get it, but we're just going to give an honest review. And we have a product that we're doing a review on that a company's reached out to us, and they sent us a product. I used it and absolutely, well, put it this way, I like it so much that I went out and bought more of it myself. And so that review is coming out. That'll be our first product review, by the way. And we've got a few of those that people have asked us to review. It's pretty cool. Honest opinion, no fluff, no anything else. And so that we'll do that. If we go, weather permitting, to the Outer Banks, we'll have that video, and further south the next trip down there. I do want to put together something for Virginia Broncos. So if you live in Virginia, northeastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia, or wherever you are, we're going to put together 2 weekends, one in the Outer Banks and one in the mountains. So we'll head up. I'm really looking for somebody to lead that one that's familiar with the Shenandoah Valley area, that knows some really good places to go, that we're not going to, just totally beat the crap out of our Broncos. So, but somewhere that's fun. And especially if you've just taken delivery of your Bronco and you're not comfortable with it yet, which is a lot of people. If you're new to this stuff, you got to get comfortable to it. So, but definitely looking to doing some stuff from there. I think that would be definitely interesting. Let's see. Overlanding for fun. You're out. You have to keep me at those. Marathon. You're like, you and Dave actually can go for a day at live streaming. So I don't want to. Yeah. Nelson Grubbs. So you're going to Wednesday at 7. Yeah, Nelson, I am. Maybe we'll do a Sunday special in the future or something like that. But we had to change because when we're going out for the weekend, we're doing stuff on the weekend. It was starting to become a challenge to get home, get cleaned up, and then get ready. Because the live streams really, if it goes on at 8, we're here getting ready here at 7. And when you go to the Outer Banks from where we are, which is where we go a lot of, or the mountains, we're not getting back to about 6 or 7. And it just starting to rush us to the point where, it's like, okay, I don't want quality to fall down because I'm in a hurry. And so thinking Wednesday night at 8:30 is a good night for that. And that we're trying it for a while, and hopefully we get to stick it out at 8:30 every Wednesday night. Gavin is with us between 8:30 and roughly 9. Tonight it was like 9:15. And then we just talk about stuff until the end. We're actually building a new studio. I have a new computer system coming in. So there's going to be a lot more ability to add more stuff so that we can show more on screen, side by side, screen sharing, that type of stuff. Makes it more interesting, play some more videos. So yeah, we have a bunch of cool stuff happening here. And look, I'm not going to rule out a second live stream for maybe even outdoor stuff. Who knows what the summer will hold? We'll see what it is. But Wednesday nights at 8:30 is my night. And yeah. So Nelson, I appreciate you tuning in, by the way. I know you've tuned in before. And we're hoping Wednesday works for a lot more people. So we shall see. So Kathy, there you go here. All right, everyone. So look, Nelson, Nick, Mobile, Tim, Craig, the list goes on. Mitchell Watts earlier. I don't know if you're still here or not, but thank you for tuning in, checking us out tonight. That is awesome. ATN, you were on earlier, I know. And let me know, do you like Wednesday nights? I would love to know. I'm going to do a poll as well, but let me know in the comments. Do you like Wednesday nights? Do you prefer Sunday night? And if it was Sunday night, maybe I go later. But right now, for the foreseeable future, it is every Wednesday night at 8:30. I just want to know what your take on that is. So anyway, Nick, Wednesdays work for you. Good deal. Well, there's one. And I do appreciate that. I think it gives us more time. There's a lot going on Sunday, especially if you live Central or Western, or say Pacific time, right? So, I mean, at 8 o'clock here on the East Coast, it's 5 o'clock there. A lot of people are still out, right? So I'm thinking Wednesday night maybe makes that a little bit easier. But that's what we're doing. Bronco 78, thank you for that as well. Mobile, thank you as well. So Wednesday nights it is for now and hopefully for a long time. And that is it, folks. Thank you. I appreciate you watching us tonight. Hit that like button if you haven't. Don't go anywhere yet. Hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Watch out. We have some videos. We have a video with Dave and I in Supercell coming out this week, and it's pretty funny. I think you'll like it. So we'll go from there. Wednesdays, you are more ready than Sunday. I hear you. And if you can tell, I'm not so tired. So just like talk longer. So, but I do appreciate it. Everyone that's tuned in, I do appreciate you. And tell a friend about the channel. We're going to be promoting it heavily. And I think we're going to film this new studio as we're building it. Might be some cool stuff there. And we'll see how it works out. No timeline on that. Last thing I need is one more deadline, but it is in the process. So we'll see how it works out. Everyone, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Nelson, good evening. Have a good night. You're awesome. I really appreciate you, and have a successful week. Be safe. See ya.